So get this.
One minute, I'm a top assassin in my old world. People called me Spider Poison. Real charming nickname, I know. And the next minute, I wake up in some random village, wearing someone else's body.
Cool. Great.
Love that for me. Turns out my new body belongs to a woman named Qin, who just got beaten half to death by her own mother-in-law. Classic. I catch a wave of her memories and learn the full sad story. This family used and abused her for years, and now her husband, some guy who just passed a scholar exam, wants to trade her in for a fancier wife.
Typical.
Well, not on my watch. I wake up on the floor of a woodshed. The mother-in-law barges in, yelling at me to get up and work like usual. I give her one cold look and she nearly faints. This isn't the sweet pushover she's used to bullying. When she tries to kick me, I just nudge her hand aside, and she falls flat on her butt, screaming like the whole village is on fire. That brings the entire family running. I stand up, brush the hay off myself, and calmly rip up my own divorce/abandonment papers in front of everyone. Then I look at the husband and say, "Nope, we're doing this the other way. You're signing a mutual separation right now." He tries to threaten me, saying he'll demote me to concubine instead of letting me go. I just laugh and ask if his new fancy fiancé is going to be cool with that. The whole family is stunned. This meek little wife they used to boss around is suddenly sharp-tongued and terrifying. I threaten to drag the family's dirty laundry straight to the local magistrate, ruin his reputation, torch his career before it even starts. That does it. He caves, writes up 3 copies of the separation papers, stamps everyone's handprints on them, and hands them over. Before I walk out for good, I offer the 2 kids a chance to come with me. Just once. They stay silent, too scared of Grandma to even look at me.
Fine.
I tell them clearly, once I walk out this door, we're done, no more ties, no more anything. Then I leave without looking back. The mother-in-law spits on the ground behind me and screams insults, then immediately turns around and starts barking orders at the rest of the family to cover my old chores. Nobody even remembers how gleefully they all ganged up on me a day ago. People, am I right? Standing at the village entrance, I realize I've got nowhere to go. My family hasn't spoken to me in over a decade, so that's a dead end. One road leads to town, the other leads into the mountains. I pick the mountains. On my way out, some villagers start gossiping that I got kicked out, and I correct them loudly. It's a mutual separation. Thank you very much. This gets the attention of the village's one bachelor, an ugly, lazy, 40-something guy named Yu Dan who lives in a rundown shack and has apparently been manifesting a wife for years. He suggests real smooth that maybe the 2 of us should team up since I'm homeless now. I tell him to get lost. He gets cocky and says he'd like to see me try to fight him off.
Buddy.
You have no idea who you just challenged. So this creep's buddies start egging him on. All, go get her. Make her yours, easy wife, free real estate. Yu Dan gets pumped up and starts rolling up his sleeves like he's about to claim some prize. Buddy really thought I was some helpless woman he could just drag home. I let him get close. Then slap up top, kick down below. He crumples, both hands clutching his crotch, screaming his head off. I casually inform the crowd that anyone else who fancies trying their luck with me is welcome to get the same treatment. Then I just walk off. Not my problem anymore. I've got bigger issues, like finding somewhere to sleep and scrounging up money to sort out my legal paperwork. While I'm walking, I hear crying. A man crying, which, wow, rare sound, didn't hear much of that in my old life. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I follow the noise to a rundown house where a guy's chopping wood and sniffling at the same time. Something about it pulls me right through the gate, which honestly isn't like me at all. Turns out it's Shuang Shi, a guy roughly my age with a decent face ruined by acne. He's shocked to see the 3rd daughter-in-law of the Yang family wandering into his yard. I explain I'm not that anymore, freshly separated, just passing by. Heard him crying like a baby. He explains his parents are dying and he's sold everything he owns trying to save them, and now he's out of options. And honestly, jackpot. Thank you, universe. This family is dirt poor and dirt poor people need a doctor, and hey, I happen to moonlight as one. I check the parents' pulses and tell him bluntly, they're not dying today. Now go boil some water. He just stares at me like I grew a second head, so I snap at him to hurry up because I don't have all day. That gets him moving fast. I send him off to prep hot water, a basket, and a cutting blade, and head up the mountain myself to gather herbs, since neither of us has money for real medicine. Turns out this mountain is basically a 5-star grocery store. Bamboo, fruit, herbs, spices, everything. I eat anything remotely edible along the way because, fun fact, this body hasn't had a proper meal in over a day, and I am starving. By sunset, I come back with a full basket, and Zhuangshi's been standing at the gate the whole time, worried sick, practically glowing with relief when he sees me in one piece. He panics about his parents' condition, but I calm him down. Enough herbs here to stabilize them for now. Full cure needs a market trip tomorrow for proper medicine money. He gets so emotional, he actually grabs my shoulders, and I very sternly remind him that men and women don't touch like that. Thank you. He apologizes immediately, mortified. Dinner is just sweet potato porridge, which he's embarrassed about, but I'm starving enough not to care. After eating, I get down to business. I'm not going back to my old family, and I need a real place to live, with proper legal status. Zhuangshi, not as dense as he looks, offers his whole house as repayment for saving his parents. But I've got a better idea. I tell him I'm keeping the house, keeping his family in it too, and that we should all just live together. He assumes I mean as servants. I glare at him. Then I clarify, no, I mean you're going to be my husband. Best solution for both of us. I get a name and a household registration. You get a wife who just saved your parents' lives. The poor guy turns beet red and starts stammering about how that seems inappropriate. I ask if it's because he thinks I'm too old or too ugly. He panics and insists no, he's just scared I'll be the one who doesn't want him. I tell him straight up he's honestly a downgrade for someone like me, but hey, it doesn't affect our arrangement. The real problem will be surviving the village gossip machine once word gets out. He says talk doesn't cost him anything, especially compared to a life debt. Once he finishes washing the herbs, I break them up, dump them in a cracked pot, and give him brewing instructions like I'm running a kitchen. Then I announce I'm exhausted and heading to the woodshed to crash. My body, original owner's body, weak as tissue paper, has officially had enough after a full day of mountain climbing on an empty stomach. I flop down in the woodshed, and I'm basically unconscious in seconds. Then, out of nowhere, my forehead starts glowing and throbbing like crazy. I touch it and feel a little bump.
Wait.
No way. Could it be? Back in my old life, I had a hidden pocket dimension stored inside a teardrop-shaped jade, a whole miniature world with mountains, water, land, plants, herbs, and a bunch of rescued animals I'd taken care of. This bump feels exactly like that shape. I'm freaking out with excitement. I focus my mind on it, and surprise, it's not my old space. It's brand new, empty except for a table with a single book on it, titled Merit Space. Underneath, tiny writing explains everything. Even though I was an assassin in my past life, I never killed recklessly, and I saved countless creatures along the way. When my life ended, those creatures sacrificed themselves to bring me back. The book basically tells me, cherish this new life. I straight up burst into tears. So that's it. They gave up everything so I could live again.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. I promised myself right there, I'm going to rack up merit points in their honor and hope that someday, somehow, we get to meet again, even in a different way. After I finally stop crying, I keep reading. The space has 10 levels, each one unlocked with merit points. Today, saving Zhuangshi's parents unlocked the very first step. Right now I'm at level 0, basically just storage for non-living objects. Level 1 needs 100 merit points, and each level up comes with a reward. I flip open the mysterious book inside. Turns out it's a cultivation manual, some kind of sun and moon technique. If this is legit, I just won the cosmic lottery. It absorbs sun and moon energy and stores it in my body automatically. No need to sit around meditating for hours. It just runs in the background while I go about my day. Genuinely broken. I love it. I catch some perfect moonlight through the window, sit down, and start cultivating immediately. Meanwhile, Zhuangshi feeds his parents the medicine and watches, terrified, until their coughing stops and their breathing steadies. He cries too. Turns out he's also been reborn, sent back to this exact moment when his parents first fell ill. In his previous life, things went horribly. His parents collapsed, his engagement fell through, the family went broke and into debt, and he ended up selling himself into a marriage with a rich family just to pay it off. Spoiler. His parents died anyway, and his wife turned out to be a cruel woman who never touched him, publicly paraded other men in front of him, and eventually got him killed. Brutal. This time, though, I showed up. And he's decided. Whatever it takes, he's protecting his parents and protecting me. Anyone who messes with me, he's the first one standing in the way. Next morning, he checks on his parents, tends to them so they don't get bed sores, then goes to cook sweet potato porridge again, obviously. I wake up feeling amazing. This cultivation technique is incredible. Zhuang Shi comes over holding out his family's property deeds, handing them over with both hands, clearly reluctant but determined to keep his word. I take the yellowed papers and lay out the deal plainly. Stick with me, you'll never go hungry, but you do what I say when I say it, and I'm not exactly known for being patient. He promises his parents are reasonable people and won't cause trouble. I nod, satisfied, and secretly toss the deeds into my new space. Then I glance east. Sun's not up yet, so I decide to finish perfecting my technique before heading to the market. The moon technique, it turns out, is already doing wonders, cooling my body pleasantly, like standing in front of an AC unit in summer, quietly reshaping me from the inside. Zhuang Shi brings me water to wash up. I finally get a good look at myself. Skin and bones, malnourished yellow hair, rough dark skin, basically the walking definition of rode hard and put away wet. But hey, I'm a legendary doctor. Fixing all that is just a matter of time. Over breakfast, I tell him he can drop the formalities and just call me Qin Yue from now on. He hesitates, worried it's disrespectful, but I remind him, publicly, he's supposed to be my husband, so get used to it. He tells me his parents' names in return, Zhuang Dashan and Xiang Xiangzao. After breakfast, I get back to business, telling him to reboil yesterday's leftover herbs. Weaker dose, sure, but still useful. I sit down cross-legged in the yard as the sun starts peeking over the horizon, all orange and glowing. Zhuang Shi has no clue what I'm doing, but he just goes along with it. Smart guy learning fast. An hour later, boom. My Tai Chi yin-yang diagram fully forms inside me. First stage of energy cultivation. Unlocked, just like that. I'm basically walking around with cheat codes now. Absolutely broken. Love it. I stretch, sling my basket over my shoulder, ready to head to town. Zhuang Shi hands me the cutting blade for protection, worried about a woman traveling alone. I take it, toss it in the basket, and leave without a word. Very mysterious, very cool, very don't worry about me. Walking through the village, everyone stares like they've seen a ghost. Word had spread that I went into the mountains. Some pitied me, some laughed, some straight up hoped I'd die out there. Yu Dan especially looked like he wanted to eat me alive, still salty about yesterday, but too scared of another crotch kick to try anything twice. His eyes are doing that shifty scheming thing though. The villagers act shocked I'm still breathing and start asking if I regret leaving the Yang family. I laugh in their faces. That fire pit? Someone else can jump in it, not me. They suggest maybe they should beg the Yangs to take me back, since starving is no joke these days. I tell them plainly, I'll starve to death before I go back to that family. As I walk off, they whisper behind me about how tough I must be to survive a night in the mountains, some saying I've got good fortune written on my face, others cracking jokes suggesting some random villager just take me in as a concubine since apparently I'm basically livestock now. Real charming people, this village. I pass by the Yang house and catch the old mother-in-law glaring at me with her signature evil eye. She yells that I'll come crawling back for food eventually. I fire back that she should save her food for herself before she chokes on it. Turns out, plot twist, the whole Yang family is already regretting kicking me out. Without me doing all the work, the household's a mess. Everyone's arguing. Nobody wants to do more chores than anyone else. Should have just demoted me to concubine and kept the free labor, right? Wrong, losers. Right on cue, a donkey cart rolls up and the mother-in-law starts fawning over some overdressed woman getting out, presumably the Better. Bride for her scholar son. The woman quietly asks if I was really sent away, and mother-in-law lies through her teeth, insisting it was necessary for her son's future and that my poor, powerless family won't cause trouble. The two of them link arms and strut inside like old friends. Vultures, honestly. I hit the main road and head south. Apparently south means richer, north means poorer. Useful intel for later. After about an hour of walking past carts and travelers, I arrive at a proper town. Greenstone Town. Shops line both sides of the road, decently lively for what I expected out here. I stroll around in my ragged clothes and basket, and people literally pinch their noses and step aside as I pass. Great, love the ambience. I don't rush to the pharmacy though. I scope out the whole town first, memorizing the layout like the professional I am. Eventually, I settle on the biggest pharmacy in town, a respected chain store, busy with patients and staff. I approach the counter guy, a chubby 30-something with a neat beard, mid-bookkeeping. He clocks my ragged look and immediately switches to polite customer service mode, assuming I'm here to see a doctor. I ask if they buy herbs. He says of course, and I dump my basket's contents right on his counter, which makes him wince, especially over the ginseng roots getting jostled around like garbage. I laugh and tell him poverty makes you improvise. He appraises everything carefully. 3 ginseng roots, one worth 5 tael, 2 premium ones worth 20 tael, 1 30-year lingji mushroom worth 10 tael, and some slightly aged musk worth 10 tael. Total, 45 tael of silver. I raise an eyebrow, feels a little low, but he insists the price is fair, better than trekking all the way to the county city and wasting travel money. Fair enough, I agree to sell. He happily counts out 45 tael in loose silver, wraps it in a cloth pouch, and warns me to guard it carefully since the town has pickpockets. I take the pouch, pretend to tuck it into my robes, and secretly toss it straight into my dimensional space instead. Pickpockets?
Q.
They'd have better luck robbing a ghost. Clothes make the man, or in my case, silver makes the shopping spree possible. First stop, the clothing shop, where I buy 2 cheap outfits under everyone's judgmental stares, then duck into a fitting room and fully transform. Old rags gone, new clothes on. Next, the general store. 2 proper bamboo baskets to replace my sad broken one, a full set of bowls, plates, chopsticks, salt, soy sauce, vinegar. Basically everything the Zhuang household is currently missing, which is everything. I also swing by the fabric shop and grab cloth for new clothes for all 3 of them, sneaking it all into my dimensional space when nobody's looking. Then the blacksmith, a proper kitchen knife, cutting blade, shovel, ladle, and 2 big iron pots, because seriously, 1 pot for cooking, boiling, and everything else? Unacceptable. At the grain shop, I casually pick up rice, millet, cornmeal, and white flour, not flashy, just quietly stocking up. Then I splurge a little. A bronze mirror, some wooden combs, a hairpin. Because listen, I refuse to look like a disaster forever. By afternoon, I've fully transformed, hair combed, pinned up, walking with actual confidence instead of looking like a woman who just got dumped and evicted. I stop at a noodle stall, order the biggest bowl with meat because despite loving animals, I am absolutely a carnivore. Pay up and enjoy a well-earned lunch while planning my afternoon. After lunch, I head back to the pharmacy. Owner Sue about does a double take. Morning me was a rag-wearing disaster. Afternoon me looks like a whole new woman. He assumes I'm selling more herbs, but this time I'm buying, reciting an entire prescription from memory, precise dosages and all, for heart tonic pills, supposedly for my elderly in-laws. He's impressed, maybe suspicious, and gently hints he'd love first dibs if I dig up more good herbs. I pay 10 tael for the medicine and 2 more for full alchemy toolkit, then say my goodbyes. Thinking about my new body's sorry condition, I decide medicine can wait, nutrition first. At the butcher's, I inspect the pork and immediately regret every historical drama that lied to me about juicy pork belly. It's basically all fat here, barely any lean meat. I still buy a huge chunk anyway, since apparently that's just the reality of this world. Then, I hit a little roadside stall selling eggs and baby chicks. Half a basket of eggs, 56 total, and 16 chicks, 6 roosters, 10 hens. The seller mentions the roosters are basically free if I buy everything, and I can't help but laugh. Wow, Males really are cheap around here, huh? Couldn't resist that one. I buy the whole lot, pay up, and by the time I'm done it's already getting dark. Streets are emptying, shops are lighting lanterns. I toss both heavy baskets into my space and casually organize everything mentally while walking, multitasking, very efficient, very me. Then, right as I turn off the main road onto the village path, alone in the pitch dark, a shadow lunges at me from the side. I barely sidestep. The guy stumbles, cursing under his breath about how he's been waiting here forever, and how tonight I'm doing this whether I like it or not, since nobody's around to hear me scream. The voice is annoyingly familiar. "Do you, Dan?" He laughs, delighted. I recognized his voice so fast, and starts monologuing about how since he can't eat, he'll just eat me instead, cooperate and he'll be gentle, resist and I won't be walking for 3 days. Charming guy. Real catch. Murderous rage kicks in immediately, followed by a headache. My body's clearly not thrilled about the idea of murder, noted. Fine. I won't kill him. But 3 days of not being able to walk? That I can absolutely deliver. He mistakes my silence for fear and lunges at me. Mistake number 2 of the night. I unload on his face with a barrage of punches. Doesn't even matter that I'm only first stage cultivation. My old assassin instincts are baked into muscle memory. This ugly, washed-up bachelor stood zero chance even if he were the region's top martial artist. His screaming echoes across the empty fields until I finally feel like justice has been served. I spit on you, Dan, still crumpled on the ground, and tell him this is his warning shot. Next time, he won't be so lucky. Honestly, beating people up is weirdly satisfying. Who knew? I make it back to the village and pull my baskets out of the dimensional space right before reaching the house. Zhuang Shi's standing at the door like a devoted statue, waiting for me. Something about being waited for hits different. In my old life, nobody ever waited up for me.
Ever.
He rushes to grab my baskets, asks if I'm hungry, updates me on his parents, doing better, colors improving. I compliment him, and this grown man turns shy and scratches his head like a schoolboy.
Cute, I guess.
I light a lamp, he sets the table, and he finally gets a proper look at me in my new clothes. Apparently I look younger and prettier now. I tell him I already ate and to sort out the baskets myself. Chicks go in the woodshed for now. Watching him unload basket after basket, he's internally spiraling. How much did all this cost? Did she find ginseng out there? Meanwhile, he has no idea I'm secretly refilling the baskets from my space faster than he's emptying them. Poor oblivious man. That night I sleep on the hay, my glowing yin-yang diagram quietly pulsing away invisibly. Zhuang Shi lies awake thinking about how hard-working and capable I apparently was back at the Yang family, and how those idiots had no clue they were tossing out a literal miracle worker. Honestly, their loss. Traded a watermelon for a sesame seed, and thought they won. Next morning, he preps breakfast, cleans the new dishes, sorts everything out. I wake up right at dawn like clockwork, brush my teeth with salt, wash up, and sit down expecting food. He hands me hot water first, tells me breakfast is almost ready. I remind him not to be stingy with the eggs and meat. Everyone in this house needs proper nutrition, especially his parents. He cooks up egg custard, fried eggs, and pickled vegetable with meat. I taste it and immediately notice no salt. He admits he forgot, too used to going without. I let it slide. Then I drop the real bombshell. From now on, I handle the money, you handle the house. He's mortified. Man doing housework while woman earns money? Scandalous, apparently. I ask if he can match my daily income. He admits no, obviously not. So I tell him, since you can't, just do what I say and don't overthink it. He accepts. After breakfast, I set up my alchemy tools in the yard and get to work processing herbs. Turns out I'm something of a perfectionist, refusing to stop until the medicine's flawless. Only manage 5 satisfactory batches all morning. I test one on his parents personally, checking their pulses, feeding them the dose. Meanwhile, Zhuang Shi drags in 2 thick logs, clearly planning something. I tell him the medicine schedule, 1 packet a day, and reassure him his parents will only keep improving. Relieved, he heads off to cook again, this time steaming buns, half cornmeal, Can't bring himself to waste the good white flour yet. Frying pickled veg with meat again. Seriously, learn a new recipe, buddy. And rendering the fat into lard. In the afternoon, I keep working on herbs while soaking up sunlight for my cultivation. Multitasking queen. Zhuangshi shyly approaches, holding a small jar of lard, asking if he can gift some to the Sun family, who apparently lent his family food and money for years without ever pressuring them to repay. I get it immediately and approve. Small jar, no big deal. He nervously reassures me that everything in this house is mine now, and he'll always check with me before doing anything. Good. Exactly how it should be. Zhuangshi heads out, and I raise an eyebrow. The Sun family, huh? Old memories tell me their daughter-in-law is a piece of work. 6 people in that household, decent enough life. Definitely better off than us. Turns out I was right. When Zhuangshi knocks, the daughter-in-law, Qiao, immediately assumes he's there to borrow something again and grumbles about it. Annoyed, her mother-in-law even makes her answer the door. But once Zhuangshi hands over the lard, her whole attitude flips. Free gift, not a debt repayment. She's thrilled. She practically slams the door in his face the second she's got the goods. Charming family dynamic there. Meanwhile, back home, I finish up 20 packets of medicine. Enough for 20 days. No more worrying about that for a while. Zhuangshi comes back grinning, announces he's making dumplings out of the leftover fat scraps. I watch him fumble through it in the kitchen, clearly out of practice. The dumplings come out looking like little deformed pillows. I laugh, and he admits dumplings were a once-a-year luxury growing up. I tell him now that we've got money, dumplings can be a regular thing, presentation included, food should look good too. Dinner comes, I eat. He watches me eat with this dopey happy grin, and honestly, this guy's got a nice smile. Rare thing to see out here, apparently, along with actual healthy teeth. I ask about his parents' debts. Turns out they owe 20 taels to the pharmacy. Understanding owner lets him pay slowly. 5 taels secretly borrowed from Annie's son, and 70 pounds of cornmeal owed openly to the Sun family. Those are literally the only 2 households who ever helped them. I tell him not to worry. I'll pay it all off before the new year. The poor guy nearly tears up. Right on cue, someone knocks. Turns out it's the Sun couple themselves, guilt-tripped by the lard gift into bringing over 10 pounds of cornmeal as an exchange. I duck into the house while Zhuangshi handles it, nervous the whole time since, technically, having an unregistered woman living in his house isn't exactly proper. He tries to refuse the cornmeal, insisting they bought plenty of food already. The couple is shocked. Did he actually strike it rich? He spins a cover story about finding a small ginseng root while chopping wood in the mountains. They're happy for him, encourage him to keep working hard, and leave without noticing anything suspicious. Once they're gone, Zhuangshi wipes his brow, realizing my presence in his house can't stay secret forever. Tomorrow, household registration. No more hiding. Lying in the woodshed, I'm thinking the exact same thing. Time to make things official instead of skulking around like I got something to be ashamed of. Next, morning over breakfast, we both blur out the same sentence at the same time. Should we handle the registration today? We just look at each other and burst out laughing. Great minds. We arrange for Annie's son to watch his parents for the day, most trustworthy neighbor around, no question, and I hand him 5 taels of silver before we split up. Money talks. I tell him, and if the village head gives you trouble, just smack him with this. He laughs and heads to find the village chief while I head toward town with my basket unbothered. My reputation clearly precedes me now, since nobody dares mess with me anymore. On his way through the village, Zhuangshi overhears a cluster of villagers gossiping excitedly. Turns out Yu Den got beaten within an inch of his life. Face swollen like a pig's head. Apparently, he'd been caught peeping over walls at people's private business for a while now, and everyone's speculating who finally taught him a lesson. Even the village chief looked into it, but Yu Dan refused to say who did it or file a report, which, of course, only makes everyone more suspicious he had it coming.
2 nights ago, they say.
Nobody's putting 2 and 2 together yet.
Good. Keep it that way.
Zhuangshi apparently freezes mid-step when he hears about Yu Dan's beatdown timing, realizes it lines up with my market trip, and gets quietly furious on my behalf, fists clenched, thinking that creep had the audacity to target me. Takes him a minute to cool down. He drops off his parents' care with Annie's son, then heads to the village chief's place. Chief Hu-hai, your classic helps if there's a bribe, drags his feet if there isn't type of guy. Zhuang sure slips him a bit of silver right away and asks for help with a trip to the county office for registration paperwork, borrowing his ox cart in the process. Promised bribe, good wine and roast chicken on return. That seals the deal instantly. Chief's wife has the cart ready in record time. On the road, some villagers try to hitch a ride, but Zhuang sure tells the chief not to pick anyone up. Suspicious behavior, according to the chief, who starts muttering about how shady this all feels. Then we cross paths with me on the main road, and Zhuang sure flags me down a hop-on. Poor chief is baffled. First, no passengers allowed. Now this random woman climbs aboard? Zhuang sure finally spills the truth. He's planning to officially marry me. The chief nearly falls off the cart. You mean the woman the Yang family divorced? Zhuang sure corrects him, separated, not divorced, and points out he's unmarried. I'm a free woman, so what's the issue? I slip the chief a tael of silver and calmly point out the law fully supports remarriage, and this is entirely consensual. The chief looks at the money, looks at us, does some quick mental math about how the broke Zhuang family suddenly has silver to throw around, and, surprise, decides he's totally fine with this arrangement now. Funny how that works. He asks if we're planning a wedding ceremony. I say it can wait until his parents recover. The chief admits, grudgingly, that the Yang family's going to regret this eventually. The rest of the ride, the chief lectures us about keeping a household ledger for social debts and staying out of village drama, practical advice, actually, and I take mental notes. We reach the county office. Chief smooth talks the guards. Zhuang sure discreetly bribes them too, and we head to the registration room, where, shocker, another bribe gets us fast-tracked service. The clerk reviews my old paperwork and points out my registration is technically still tied to the Yang family, needs to be formally removed first. Another silver coin fixes that instantly. Then I lay out exactly how I want this structured. Since Zhuangshi's parents handed me their property deeds after I saved them, I become head of household, and he becomes the one marrying into my family, basically the reverse of tradition. Zhuang sure flinches internally at the phrasing but composes himself fast and confirms it, blushing hard when he refers to me as my wife, for the first time out loud. The chief, wisely, stays out of it. Not his business how they arrange their household, and honestly the two of them seem like a decent match age gap aside. 15 minutes later, brand new paperwork is finalized. Household head, Qin Yue. Husband, Zhuang Shi. In-laws, Zhuang Dashan and Xiang Xiangzao. The chief, watching silver disappear from our pockets left and right today, quietly marvels at how the once destitute Zhuang family is apparently turning its fortunes around. I take the new registration in hand, satisfied. Then the chief turns back to the clerk with one more loose end to tie up. What happens to my old registration under the Yang family now? The clerk agrees to cancel my old record on the spot, telling the chief he can update the Yang family's files separately later. Apparently Yang Xiaohua needs it wiped clean too, since he's remarrying. The officials seem thrilled with how generously we've been tipping today. Money really does talk. Once we're outside, Zhuang Shi's practically glowing with happiness. He grabs the chief's hand, insisting on treating him to wine, roast chicken, and noodles before heading home. I hop off separately to shop. Can't waste a rare trip to the county town. While I'm gone, the chief interrogates Zhuang Shi about where all this sudden money came from. He spins a smooth story. I stumbled onto ginseng in the mountains, sold it, used the money to save his parents, and since we were both single, figured we might as well team up. Simple, believable, done. The chief buys it completely, praising him for being grateful and loyal, and even jokes that despite the age gap, I'm still young enough to give him kids someday. Internally, Zhuang Shi sighs. This is a fake marriage, obviously, but he tells the chief plainly, as long as she doesn't leave, I won't abandon her either. The chief warns him this. Marriage is basically a slap in the face to the Yang family, and trouble will follow. Yang Xiaohua's climbing the social ladder now, marrying into money, while Zhuang Shi's still relatively powerless. Zhuang Shi shrugs it off, confident the Yang family are cowards who only pick on the weak, and he's not scared of a legal fight if it comes to that. The chief just warns him to stay cautious anyway. Money and power always find sneaky ways to cause trouble. Meanwhile, I'm off buying everything the small village can't offer: books, paper, ink, honey for medicine making, quietly stuffing my expanding dimensional space. We all meet back up at the noodle shop, where I order 3 massive bowls of meat noodles, making the chief's jaw practically hit the floor at the generosity. He tells me I've clearly brought good fortune to the Zhuang family and to keep things peaceful going forward. I promise we'll keep to ourselves. By nightfall, we're back in the village, and the whole place is absolutely buzzing with gossip. Qin Yue and Zhuangshi? No way. Apparently the chief personally took them to register. She must have found treasure in the mountains. That's the only way he'd marry someone like her. She's basically old enough to be his mother. Who cares? They clearly wanted this. Better than him marrying nobody with 2 sick parents to support. Classic small village commentary. Everyone's got an opinion nobody asked for. Back home, Annie's son is standing there absolutely stunned when she finds out. She stammers, clearly uncomfortable, especially realizing I've been staying at their house this whole time. Zhuangshi confirms everything plainly. I'm now officially his wife. She points out marriages traditionally wait for parental blessing, but Zhuangshi says he didn't want me facing any more hardship, so he moved fast. She leaves flustered, clearly needing time to process this with her husband. Back at her own house, the whole Sun family gathers to gossip. The daughter-in-law, Qiao, can't resist a jab about how conveniently the Zhuang family got rich the moment I showed up, and grumbles about being kept in the dark. Her father-in-law shoots her a look, and she shuts up fast. Guess she's not exactly beloved in that household either. Auntie's son eventually decides to just accept it, figures it's fate, and honestly, if I brought good fortune with me, maybe it evens out the family's past struggles. Her husband agrees, philosophically noting everyone's got their own path. Their only remaining worry: how his elderly parents will react once they finally wake up and discover their new daughter-in-law is decades older than their son. Over at the Yang house, the whole family's in an uproar. Someone snidely claims it's good luck that I've apparently brought fortune to the Zhuang family, sarcastically suggesting they should thank me instead of complaining. Naturally, most of the family isn't buying that. They're convinced I must have been secretly involved with Zhuangshi before the divorce, calling me shameless and ugly in the same breath. The kids stay silent, not even bothering to defend me.
Typical.
The mother-in-law is fuming, swearing revenge, ready to tear me apart the second she sees me. How dare her family's woman end up with someone else? Yang Xiaohua, meanwhile, sounds weirdly jealous underneath his forced indifference, noting that despite my age, I still managed to land a young, capable husband, which apparently stings a little. They decide to bide their time. Yang Xiaohua is about to marry into a wealthier family and use those connections to land a government position, after which dealing with a mere village woman like me will be easy. So for now, they let it go, but only for now. Meanwhile, the whole village is gossiping to the chief, trying to get details. He plays dumb, brushing them off with starving people gossiping about other people's marriages. How about that? He deliberately leaves out the whole ginseng and mysterious wealth part, letting everyone assume it's just 2 desperate poor people settling for each other. Smart move. Keeps us both out of the spotlight, and he's clearly hoping to benefit from staying on our good side long term. With my dimensional space running low on silver again, I head back to the mountains with my basket and blade. Zhuangshi, meanwhile, gets to work at home, replacing doors, windows, furniture, patching up the crumbling walls, and rebuilding the stove, basically renovating the whole place from scratch. He realizes I'm still sleeping on hay in the woodshed, which bumps build her an actual bed, straight to the top of his priority list. He spends the morning clearing out the woodshed, building a proper storage shed for the firewood, and prepping the ground to make mud bricks in the afternoon. I don't come back for lunch, so he feeds his parents egg custard and eats plain buns himself, staying busy the whole day. When I get back, the yard is covered in drying mud bricks. Not a huge haul from the mountain today, but decent. I ask what he's building, and he explains a proper heated bed platform for me, since I can't sleep on hay forever. I ask where I'm sleeping tonight then, and he says he'll bunk with his parents so he can keep an eye on them. and I get his room. Just as we sit down to eat, a weak voice calls out from inside the house. His mother, finally awake. Zhuangshi bolts inside, thrilled, and she blearily asks about his father, still unconscious. Worse condition. Might take another day or two. She immediately panics about their debts, begging him not to do anything reckless. He glances back at me. I'm just calmly eating dinner in the yard, unbothered, takes a deep breath, and lays out the whole story. Their illness, his helplessness, my arrival, the herbs, the recovery, and finally, our marriage. She nearly faints again. Furious, she accuses him of basically selling their family to me. Classic pride over practicality reaction. She's the type who cares deeply about appearances despite having nothing. I'm the exact opposite. Free-spirited, don't care what anyone thinks. We are not going to get along easily. Zhuangshi, knowing his mother's personality better than anyone, quickly clarifies the arrangement, so she doesn't get any ideas about bossing me around. Privately, he says, we can think of it as a servant relationship if it helps her feel better, but publicly I'm his wife. Full stop, no arguments. Bold assumption that this fixes anything. She immediately spirals into guilt-tripping mode, accusing him of throwing his life away, insisting he should have married someone young instead of, ruining himself for an older widow, worrying about the family's reputation in the village. He calmly counters every point. Nobody would have married into their poverty and debt anyway. I'm clearly a good match regardless of age, and their reputation barely exists too. Begin with, since only the Sun family talks to them anyway. She brings up grandchildren. He shuts that down fast. Priorities are staying alive first, family later. Too weak to even properly yell at him, she nearly faints from the effort. Zhuangshi rushes to bring her the egg custard he prepped earlier. She protests she's too upset to eat, but the smell gets the better of her anyway. Here's just as Zhuangshi is about to say something conciliatory, I appear in the doorway, arms crossed, and drop the truth bomb. I've been keeping his parents alive with ginseng and lingji, spending roughly a tael a day on medicine, pulling them back from literal death's door. If they died anyway, his debts would have just doubled. His life alone wouldn't have been enough to pay it off. I say it all calmly, but my eyes are ice cold. His mother glares at me like we're mortal enemies, accusing me of ruining her son's future, an old widow like me marrying her son. How humiliating. I tell her plainly, it's mutual, nobody's forcing anyone, and if she's not happy with the arrangement, she's welcome to pack up and leave. I'll just consider the house and land payment for the medical bills. That shuts her right up. I walk off, unimpressed, muttering that I thought she had more spine than that. Once I'm gone, she cries through her egg custard, still guilt-tripping Zhuangshi about trading his happiness for their lives. He insists it's worth it. If his parents live, he lives. If they die, so does he in spirit. She calls him reckless, worries this sorcery of mine might mean I'm secretly some kind of demon possessing a human body. Relatable paranoia, honestly. But Zhuangshi shuts that down. Demons don't save people, they eat them. She admits she trusts my character deep down, just struggles with everything else. Zhuangshi reminds her, bluntly, that technically their whole family now works for me. She should drop the attitude. She finally softens, admitting what's done is done, and sends him off to work while she stays behind, quietly hoping his still unconscious father wakes up soon to help sort all this out. His father's eyes flicker slightly at the sound of her voice, but don't open. That night, my cultivation spikes, level up. I check my space and find new golden text glowing above it. Saving Zhuangshi's parents earned 20 merit points, and giving Zhuangshi hope for offspring earned 5 more. Guess officially stabilizing them properly versus just keeping them from dying counts differently on the merit scoreboard. Next morning, I check the parents' pulses. His mother's clearly awake but pretending to sleep, avoiding me. I don't call her out, just head to town with yesterday's herbs. The whole village is still gossiping nonstop about us, though they shut up the second I walk by. Having learned the hard way, I don't hesitate to throw hands. Once I'm past, though, the whispers start again. Apparently I'm now the village's resident cougar, robbing the cradle with young Zhuangshi. Way better catch than that loser Yu Dan, who, fun fact, is now permanently in debt with nothing to offer. Auntie Sun overhears this nonsense and shoots the gossipers a death glare before heading to the Zhuang house herself, hoping to chat with me. I'm out selling herbs, so she settles for visiting Zhuang Shi's now-awake mother instead. The two women cry together, Auntie Sun insisting the family got lucky. 2 lives saved plus a capable new daughter-in-law. What's there to complain about? His mother can't exactly explain the servant thing without sounding ungrateful, so she pivots to worrying about grandchildren instead. Auntie Sun brushes it off. I'm only 30, plenty of time, and honestly capability matters way more than age. Internally, his mother's still stewing, capable, sure, but also stole their property deeds and turned her whole family into servants, silently. Not exactly the perfect daughter-in-law checklist. She admits her real fear is village gossip and the shame of her son becoming an instant stepfather. Auntie Sun tells her to toughen up. They've survived worse than gossip, having fled famine to get here in the first place. Meanwhile, I dug up a 50-year-old ginseng root yesterday, worth a hefty 30 tael, bringing my total to 33 tael after other sales. I use it to pay off the family's entire debt outright. Owner Sue at the pharmacy is pleasantly surprised to learn I'm Zhuang Shi's new wife. He already liked the guy and figures he's got a bright future ahead with someone this capable. Running the household. Truthfully, between my past life combat skills and current cultivation level, robbing corrupt nobles blind would be child's play, but my space has its limits. So honest hard work it is. That first 45 tael haul from before? Already gone within a month. Living well isn't cheap, apparently. After paying off the debts, I've got 15 tael left over. Completely unbothered though. Money's just money. I'll make more. I've got skills, confidence, and honestly, an unfair advantage. No fresh vegetables in season, so I stock up on dried veggies, tofu, pork, roast chickens, rice, wine, fish, eggs, the usual. Carry it all on my back for exercise, fine, mostly because it's dramatic. I even buy 20 buns, eat 2 on the walk, and stash the rest for future mountain trips. A few steps later, a small kid, maybe 5 or 6, latches onto my leg. Not a fan of random touching, but I look down and see a tiny beggar boy staring hungrily at my buns, stomach growling. I hand him one without thinking twice. He takes a small bite, wraps the rest carefully, and tries to run off. I stop him. Turns out he's saving it for his sick mother instead of eating it himself. Filial little guy. I give him a silver coin instead, way more than a bun's worth. He promises to pay me back someday once he's grown and earning money. I tell him to focus on taking care of his mom and eating enough to actually grow first, and mention I pass through town regularly selling herbs. Maybe we'll cross paths again. He bows deeply and sprints off. I check my merit space. Sure enough, new entry. Helped a beggar mother and son, 10 merit points. I laugh at myself a little, not like I'm secretly a saint. This is mostly just good business for my soul, but hey, results are results. Walking through the quiet village at lunchtime, I finally get some peace, until I run into the old young mother-in-law, who spots my full basket and full-on lunges at it, trying to physically drag me back toward her house. Not happening. I slap her across the face and follow up with a kick to the gut. Self-defense, technically, she grabbed me first, so no karma penalty. No headache either. Excellent. She goes down stunned, then immediately starts wailing about her daughter-in-law, assaulting her, drawing the whole neighborhood out. Once they see my full basket, they instantly clock what actually happened and start laughing at her instead. She tries claiming everything I own should belong to the Yang family since I was their daughter-in-law. The crowd shreds that argument immediately. I'm legally married to the Zhuang family now. Obviously my stuff belongs to them, not her. She pivots to guilt-tripping me about the kids. Shouldn't I be buying things for my children? I fire back with a phrase I genuinely love. Shameless people really are invincible. I remind everyone loudly one more time that I'm surnamed Qin, their surname Yang. We're done. Full stop. Threaten legal action if she keeps harassing me. She keeps pushing, claiming blood ties to the kids mean she's entitled to my belongings regardless. I try to keep my cool, but honestly this woman is testing every last nerve I have. She accuses me of secretly hooking up with Zhuang Shi before the separation even happened. Pure slander. I dare her to take it to court, or else get out of my way. The crowd, stunned by my confidence, watches me stroll off while she scrambles for a comeback. The gossiping doesn't stop, though. The villagers point out she's got no leverage anymore, since I'm officially Zhuang property now. She retaliates by bragging that her son's about to become a government official through his marriage into the wealthy Huang family, implying she's above the peasants listening.
That
Backfires instantly. Someone reveals that the Huang daughter, Huang Wei, has a notorious reputation around town. Affairs, a secret pregnancy that ended badly, the whole scandal. Everyone agrees Yang Xiaohua's clearly only in it for the money and connections, cuckold status be damned. The village chief shows up mid-gossip session, gruffly orders everyone back to lunch, and shoots a dark look toward the Yang house. This is his territory, and the Yangs trying to throw their weight around doesn't sit well with him. By the time I get home, Annie's son's already left. She may not fully approve of the marriage, but she's not one to stir up drama either. Zhuang Shi's got dinner ready and waiting for me. Over dinner, I remind Zhuang Shi to pay off the pharmacy debt and hand him 5 tael to bring to the Sun family, not empty-handed, obviously. Manners matter. All he can say is, "Thank you." I tell him just do his job and we're square. Meanwhile, his mother's stewing on her bed about how weird this whole daughter-in-law but also servant thing is. Right then, his father finally wakes up, groggy and confused. She fills him in on everything that's happened, the illness, the debt, me, the marriage, and after a long stunned silence, he actually takes it well. Life-saving debts get repaid, even with our own lives if needed, he says, calling me the family's blessing and telling her to treat me well going forward. She admits it's hard to swallow given I'm barely younger than her. He tells her to get over it. Plenty to be grateful for here. Zhuang Shi and I come check on him together. He thanks me sincerely. I tell him we're family now, keep taking the medicine, and head back to my room. Pretty neutral, professional energy. His mother, predictably, reads that as me acting like I own the place. Turns out I do. Zhuang Shi informs her I'm literally the registered head of household now, and she deflates instantly, especially once his father snaps at her for being ungrateful given the medical bills I've covered without asking for a single coin back. That evening, word spreads fast. Both elders are awake and recovering. The village narrative shifts overnight. Apparently I'm now the family's lucky charm, and the Zhuang household is destined for a comeback, especially with his father's decent woodworking skills. Compared to Yang Xiaohua, whose scholar title means nothing to the villagers day-to-day, people start openly favoring staying friendly with the Zhuangs instead. Meanwhile, across town, Yang Xiaohua is having dinner with his fiancée, Huang Wei. Wedding set for late May. She's unremarkable looking but dresses expensively. Her family's rich and influential across the whole region, untouchable in this town. He complains about me, claiming I, shamelessly, married someone over a decade younger just to spite him and stay in the village. She teases that landing a younger husband is, honestly, a bit of a flex. He insists their family's dirt poor with 2 sickly parents attached, just a desperate move on my part. Then he pivots to money, wants 200 tael to rebuild his family's house into something impressive, for her sake. She agrees but insists he sign an IOU, no interest, take it or leave it. He's privately furious, cursing her family as cheap tightwads while smiling through it, already plotting to bleed them dry eventually and collect a harem of pretty young concubines once he's settled. Charming guy, truly. Early May, weather warms up. Zhuang Shi finishes the heated bed platform in the woodshed, weaves a new mat, patches the walls, just the doors, windows, and roof left. I spend my days making medicine and foraging in the mountains, barely talking to his parents. The elders, now mobile, sit in the shade watching him work and chatting. His mother keeps grumbling that I barely speak to them, acting all high and mighty for just a village woman. His father sarcastically shoots back, should I have let you both die instead? Not paid your debts? Not fed and housed you? She insists I only did it to trap their son, a scheme to control the family long-term. He points out plainly, I'm skilled enough to survive anywhere, no reason to burden myself with their whole family, unless it were genuine. She snipes that I'm neither pretty nor young, so really, he should be grateful I even accepted him. Right as they're mid-argument, I walk in with my basket and catch every word. I tell her plainly, since you're clearly well enough now to gossip behind my back, feel free to move out. I'm not running a charity for ingrates. His mother goes quiet real fast. Walking out now would basically be a death wish, and she knows it. His father shoots her a glare and quickly tries to smooth things over with me, insisting she's just confused and asking me not to take it personally. I tell him plainly, keep her in check, or next time I'll rip that mouth of hers apart myself. My money, my house, my rules. I put my basket down and get back to sorting herbs like nothing happened. Zhuang Shi, sensing tension, sets the table quickly. Steamed buns, mung bean soup, tofu, eggs, dried veggies, braised pork, a genuinely nice spread. His mother mutters under her breath about wasting food, but his father, done with her nonsense, snaps back. Whose money is this exactly? She fires back that once married in. Whatever's mine is technically theirs too. His father points out the obvious. Zhuang Shi built me a separate bed in the woodshed. We're not even sleeping together, meaning this marriage isn't what she thinks it is, so drop the entitlement. That stuns her, realizing it might be fake, but her husband warns her to stay out of it regardless, or he'll get genuinely angry. She spirals into martyr mode, muttering she might as well just die since apparently nobody in this house values her. My cultivation's leveled up recently, so my hearing's sharper now. I catch every word. I calmly offer to help speed that process along. I'll buy her a nice coffin and everything, no charge. She wants to snap back but reads the room, her husband, her son, me, and swallows it, silently cursing me instead, hoping I get eaten by wild animals on my next mountain trip. Real charming inner monologue on that woman. I barely eat. Honestly, appetite killed by the whole scene and go back to sorting herbs instead. Genuinely, I save their lives, fund their entire existence, pay off their debts, and still get treated like the villain of the story? The audacity almost makes me want to just get rid of the whole family right then and there. The second that thought crosses my mind, my head throbs. Space still doesn't approve of actual murder. Noted, annoying curse system. I rein it in, though internally I promise myself, enjoy being alive while you can, old woman, because I'm about to steal your son's loyalty completely, and there's nothing you can do about it. Meanwhile, the Yang family starts building a fancy brick house, a huge upgrade from the mud brick norm, even better than the village chief's place. The whole village gathers to gawk, jealous beyond belief, while the mother-in-law struts around basking in the attention, completely forgetting I even exist for a while. Turns out Yang Xiao was playing his own angle, quietly using half the borrowed 200 tael for the house and secretly splitting the family's assets with his brothers behind their backs, keeping things unified on paper only. Harvest season arrives, and Zhuang Shi handles their 5 acres solo. Not much yield since the fields were neglected during his parents' illness, but manageable. Meanwhile, I've fully outfitted the house. Jars, basins, buckets, everything. And it's clean, cozy, genuinely a home now, even if it's still mud brick. Auntie Sun visits occasionally, genuinely happy for how far the family's come. Xiao, on the other hand, keeps finding excuses to visit just to eye our new stuff jealously, too proud to actually ask for anything though, especially since I already made sure her family got paid back with interest, literal extra grain, and meat on top of what was borrowed, completely disarming her. Even Auntie Sun's visits never go empty-handed. Meat, veggies, tofu, whatever we've got extra. Meanwhile, our chickens are growing well, close to laying age. When Xiao spots Zhuang Shi feeding them chopped vegetables mixed with cornmeal, actual quality feed, she goes home fuming, ranting to her husband about how wasteful that is. He shuts her down. Not our business, not our food. Even Zhuang Shi's own mother can't help grumbling about the extravagance of feeding chickens cornmeal when they barely had enough themselves not long ago. His father shuts that down too, reminding her she should just be grateful she's eating at all these days. She doesn't take the hint, of course, just gets more bitter, blaming me for every perceived slight to her pride. Once harvest wraps up, the Yang house is basically finished. Tradition calls for a housewarming celebration, but they've gone suspiciously quiet about it. Turns out the mother-in-law let slip a nasty comment about not wanting peasants at her fancy new house, and word spread fast. The village turns cold toward her overnight, even her usual gossip buddies keeping their distance. She scrambles to do damage control, denying she ever said it, and spins a story about combining the housewarming with Yang Xiaohua's upcoming wedding for a bigger celebration. The villagers grudgingly accept the excuse, but warn her not to get too comfortable. Fortunes change, and she might need their goodwill again someday. She's seething internally, but doesn't dare show it, since her son's future depends on staying on the town's good side. The next morning, Zhuang Shi heads out early to fetch water, hoping to avoid the village gossip crowd. No such luck. Unlike with me, the local troublemakers have zero fear needling a young guy in his 20s. They tease him about being absent lately, and he brushes it off casually, mentioning he's been busy with his parents and the harvest, even though his face is clearly burning with embarrassment underneath the calm exterior. The gossiping continues. Some guy asks Zhuang Shi if he's been, avoiding them out of embarrassment, then teasingly asks if he's tasted the goods yet. Zhuang Shi turns bright red. And the guy, completely oblivious to boundaries, suggests I should teach him, since apparently my experience from a previous marriage and 2 kids makes me some kind of expert. Real classy village humor. Zhuang Shi absolutely loses it, swings his carrying pole at the guy, threatening to send anyone who talks about me like that straight to the afterlife. Everyone backpedals fast, mumbling apologies about, just joking around. He shoves past them, unimpressed, and heads home with the water. At home, once his mother can move again, she starts sewing clothes for her husband and son, while privately grumbling the whole time about how I make her do chores, while I sit pretty, calling me every unflattering name in the book under her breath. Lucky for her, I'm not home to hear it, since I'm off at the market today. I bring my stockpiled dried goods to sell. Turns out I honestly prefer helping animals over people at this point. Past life betrayals really left a mark. Humans are just
exhausting.
At the dried goods shop, the owner is thrilled with my quality haul: black fungus, white fungus, dried mushrooms, walnuts, chestnuts, bamboo shoots. Walks away with 15 tael total. We banter a bit. I joke that all merchants are shady by nature. He insists honesty is what's kept a shop running for decades, and we agree to keep doing business. Big market day. Crowds everywhere. Some fellow villagers try to get my attention, but I don't bother acknowledging them anymore. Not worth the energy. While buying pork, I catch the familiar shifty figure tailing me. You Dan, apparently a glutton for punishment. He bolts the second I notice him. Next time, I promise myself I'm breaking all 3 of his remaining functional limbs. Then I spot a litter of puppies for sale. Perfect, our house needs a guard dog. The seller casually mentions they're good for eating or guarding, and I nearly combust with rage on the puppy's behalf. I ask the price through gritted teeth, 100 copper coins each. Then I notice the mother dog watching with heartbroken eyes, clearly terrified of losing her babies. I ask about buying her too. He refuses at first, says she earns her keep breeding twice a year, but caves once I hit 3 tael total for the mother and all 5 puppies. Deal done. Mama dog immediately, loyally, follows the basket without needing to be told, staring gratefully at me the whole way, somehow sensing I just saved her family. I name her Big Yellow, she's solid yellow, and her 5 pups. Big Black, Little Black, 2 yellow, 3 yellow, for yellow very creative, I know. She barks approvingly. Well, I choose to interpret it as approval anyway. At the livestock market, eyeing the healthy cattle, horses, and donkeys, I suddenly realize I'm sick of secretly stuffing everything into my dimensional space to hide my wealth. I'm Zhuang Shi's legitimate wife now, earning honest money through legitimate herb gathering. I deserve an actual cart. Mules are pricey. Donkeys can't haul much. Cows are slow but great for plowing, and their manure doubles as fertilizer. Though ox carts are notoriously bumpy on these dirt roads, rough enough to shake the fillings out of your teeth, figuratively speaking. It makes me think, almost wistfully, of my old life, the sports cars, the luxury rides I used to own. All gone now, presumably seized by the state since I died without an heir. Ah well, easy come, easy go. I approach a big, healthy water buffalo, pat its horns, and it actually nuzzles my hand affectionately.
Instant crush.
Ask its age. 2 years old, and the price. 20 tael, card included, no haggling. The seller insists this is fair market value, swears he's not scamming me. I tease him, saying he doesn't sound very sincere. He panics and doubles down on his honesty, insisting oxen can't legally be slaughtered here. They're strictly work animals. Trust me or I'm not human, his words, not mine. I check out the cart. Solid, nearly new, comes with all the gear. I do a quick mental math check on my funds, decide I got plenty left, and just point and say sold. Guy's thrilled. Nearly missed out on the easiest sale of
his day.
I name my new buffalo Little Water, hop up front, smack its rear, and off we go. Never driven an ox before, but I've ridden horses, figured the logic transfers. Big Yellow trots along behind, and I wave her up onto the cart with the puppies once she gets the hint. I go on a full shopping spree, get home after dark. Zhuang Shi and his father rush out excitedly at the sound of the cart. His mother stays seated, sulking. But even the men are practically giddy over the ox cart. Apparently in this village, only the chief owns one. Massive status upgrade for the family. Zhuang Shi's dad is beaming, already imagining the fields getting properly worked now. His mother, despite herself, seems pleased about the ox too, though she keeps her sour face on principle. Then everyone spots the mother dog plus 5 puppies unloading, and the confusion sets in. 1 dog, sure. But 6? I sit down to eat, starving after a full day of travel. Dinner's decent but bland, missing proper seasoning, oil, ginger, the works. Still, I eat plenty regardless since this body needs the calories. I announce the dogs are for security going forward. Naturally, his mother can't resist commenting on the wasted grain feeding, that many mouths. I coldly remind her it's my money, my choice, and she's, frankly, staff, not exactly in a position to weigh in. She doubles down anyway, pointing out other families are still going hungry while we feed dogs like royalty. I fire back, offering to sell her instead and use the money to help the poor. She insists she just wants what's best for the family. I deliver the final blow. In my eyes, she's worth less than the dog. The dog, at least, guards the house loyally. She's just an ungrateful mouth to feed. That's brutal even by my standards, and even Zhuang Shi and his father wince, but they don't defend her, because frankly, she brought it on herself. She bursts into tears and storms off to her room. His father apologizes on her behalf, promising to keep her in line better going forward. I warn him, next slip up, I'll handle it with my fists instead of words. Zhuang Shi brings me water, stammering an apology for his mother's behavior. I test him. What would you do if I actually hit her? He hesitates, admits he couldn't stand watching his mother suffer, even if she's wrong. Fair enough, honestly. She's still his mother. Life-saving debts only stretch so far against blood ties. I head to bed without another word. Feeling guilty, he heats water and brings it to my room anyway. Freshly renovated woodshed. New bed, new mats, layered blankets, a proper wardrobe, vanity table with mirror and comb, wash basin, spotless floors. All his handiwork, matching the quality he gave his own parents' room. Fair treatment across the board, at least. Lying down, I check my merit space, more golden text glowing. Saving 5 puppies earned 50 merit points, reuniting them with their mother earned another 5. That puts me at 90 total, just 10 short of the next level up. Exciting. I drift off, my forehead glowing faintly. The yin-yang symbol slowly spinning in my core, moonlight quietly reshaping my body as I sleep. Next day, sunny weather. Zhuang Shi heads to the fields early, eager to properly cultivate the neglected land now that his parents are safe and recovering. The moment he's gone, Auntie's son shows up. She's been visiting regularly to comfort his mother, not realizing her sympathy is actually fueling the resentment rather than easing it. She asks where I am. His mother, still sour, mutters that I'm in my room. Auntie's son compliments the house's transformation. Always something new at it. His mother grumbles that I waste money recklessly and even makes her husband do chores. Auntie's son isn't having it though, reminding her plainly, this family was the poorest in the village not long ago, and now they're thriving. All because of me. Time to drop the grudge. His mother keeps insisting she'd rather eat scraps than live under the same roof as me. Auntie Sun points out, without me, she wouldn't even be alive to eat scraps. His mother just sulks harder, convinced everyone's picked a side against her. Meanwhile, his father's outside sunning wheat, quietly stressing about needing a grinding stone to make flour, doesn't want to borrow one, and deal with the village's judgmental staring. I notice him fretting and mentally start planning to just buy him one. Maybe a mill too, since I've got money and yard space to spare. Right then, the gate rattles. It's the young mother-in-law, freshly done building her fancy new house, apparently remembering I exist again. She barges in, insulting Zhuangshi's father, demanding I come out to face her. His father, too gentle to handle this woman, calls me out. Good. This villain needs a fellow villain to match her energy. I stroll out, look down at her from the doorstep, and greet her with maximum sarcasm. Face still healing from last time, and you're back for more? She accuses me of stealing Yang family money to fund the Zhuang household. Bought an ox, apparently must have been her silver. I laugh in her face. Her family was broke. Where would they have gotten silver to steal in the first place? The gathering crowd cracks up. She doesn't care, just keeps demanding I return the money, threatening the magistrate. I slap her again, self-defense, obviously. She keeps escalating first. I remind her loudly that all my income comes from legitimate herb gathering and honest market sales, fully willing to have officials review it. The crowd starts murmuring, impressed, finally understanding how I've been earning money. She doubles down, insisting a village woman couldn't possibly know medicine on her own. I threaten to stop being polite if she keeps this up. Right then, Yang Xiaohua shows up with his 2 kids, helps his mother up while glaring at her to shut up. He's visibly thrown seeing me looking healthy, clean, and glowing compared to before, technically still his ex-wife in his head, apparently, and clearly bothered imagining me with Zhuangshi. He nudges his son forward, who reluctantly asks me to fund his tuition, 20 tael a year for county schooling, since apparently family shouldn't spend on outsiders. His daughter chimes in too, insisting the money should go to her and her brother instead of strangers. I nearly gag. These 2 never lifted a finger to defend the original mother when she was being abused, never came with me when offered the chance, never even checked in once. But the second they smell money, suddenly I'm mom again. Shameless doesn't begin to cover it. I coldly remind everyone. When I left the Yang family, I cut all ties completely. Their fates are none of my concern anymore. The son protests I'm still their birth mother, obligated regardless. I tell him plainly, I'd rather throw my money in a ditch than hand a single coin to any of you ungrateful vultures. Yang Xiaohua tries the guilt trip. I carry these kids for 10 months. How could I be so cold? I point out the obvious hypocrisy. They live in a brick mansion, and they're here begging money off someone living in a mud house? He claims the house money's mostly spent already, borrowed from the Huang family. I don't even bother responding to that nonsense. I offer one final option. If the Yang family truly can't afford them, I'll take the kids in, change their surname to mine, cut all ties to the Yangs permanently. The kids immediately recoil in horror. No way they're trading a scholar father's brick house for a mud hut with their disowned mother. Predictable. The mother-in-law loses it completely and lunges at me again, gets knocked down again, and starts wailing theatrically about how heartless I am toward my own children. I calmly point out, they're surnamed Yang. They're Yang family property, not mine. If the Yang family can't afford them, that's not my problem, and I already offered to take them, an offer they clearly don't want. She insists the Yang bloodline stays with the Yangs. Fine by me. Then the Yang bloodline is the Yang family's financial responsibility, not mine. The 2 kids, thoroughly humiliated, can't even meet my eyes anymore. The kids are still baffled by the mother they used to know. Since when could she earn money, throw punches, and cut off her own children without blinking? They're not sad, though, mostly just furious they're losing a potential cash source. The crowd keeps growing, everyone privately agreeing the Yang family's in the wrong, but nobody dares step in. Zhuangshi's father, still recovering, can't physically intervene. Andy's son wants to speak up too, but his mother physically holds her back, secretly rooting for the Yang mother-in-law instead, silently cheering, "Come on, put her in her place like some kind of villain fangirl. With me refusing to budge, Yang Xiaohua tries one last desperate angle, offering to bring me back as a secondary wife, alongside his new bride, framing it as some magnanimous compromise so the kids can have their mother back. Oh, how generous of him. As if I'd ever crawl back into that fire pit voluntarily. I don't even bother arguing, just march up and slap him across the face, twice, before he can react. He stands there stunned, hand on his cheek. I tell him plainly, dream on. I'd have to be insane to go back, and I don't want his ungrateful kids either. Then I just go full village brawler mode. Fists and kicks flying at the whole Yang family, precise and devastating despite looking chaotic. Everyone screams, the crowd backs away, and I only stop once they're a safe distance from our house, thoroughly wrecked. Word spreads instantly. By nightfall, I've earned every unflattering nickname imaginable. Shrew, Vixen, Hellcat, worse. Zhuangshi's family, having just witnessed my full capabilities firsthand, is quietly terrified. Nobody's ever messing with me again, that's for sure. His mother especially can't stop wincing, watching me casually slap both an ex-husband and an ex-mother-in-law without hesitation. Back home, his father locks the gate immediately, visibly rattled. Auntie Sun, annoyed his mother wouldn't let her defend me earlier, storms off in a huff. His mother, predictably, starts spiraling about consequences. Yang Xiaohua's about to marry into money and power. What if they retaliate against Zhuangshi somehow? His father shuts her down, unbothered. They've cheated death once already. What's there to fear now? Besides, the Yangs clearly started it, being greedy despite their new brick house. She keeps pushing, worried specifically about their son's safety. His father, thoroughly done with her anxiety spiral, snaps at her to just go feed the chickens and cook for the dogs if she needs something to do, instead of complaining nonstop. She cries and retreats, feelings hurt. Watching from my window, I see him glance my way, clearly hoping I'll protect Zhuangshi if it comes to that. I give him a reassuring smile. Zhuangshi gets home unaware of the whole drama, washes up, gets straight to cooking. His mother, desperate to vent, hovers around the kitchen trying to make conversation, but he just quietly continues prepping food, not engaging. She tears up a little, realizing she's got zero influence in this household anymore. Late May, harvest wraps up. Everyone else planted corn. We planted sweet potatoes. Yang Xiaohua's wedding is set for the 26th, fast approaching. Since the confrontation, the Yang family's gone eerily quiet, and our household stays isolated, only really interacting with the Sun family. Wedding day arrives, the whole village buzzing with celebration, red lanterns and decorations everywhere. The chief and villagers show up with gifts, helping out. The mother-in-law is glued to the gift registry table, paranoid someone might skim off the top. She notices our family didn't send a gift and gets offended, demanding to know why the wealthy Zhuang family snubbed them. The chief, unimpressed, points out the obvious. Given the history, why would they? She insists it's village custom regardless. He reminds her she didn't send a gift for Zhuangshi's wedding either, so fair's fair. She snaps back that she practically gave him a wife for free, so no gift owed. The chief, thoroughly done with her, defends me publicly. Everyone in the village knows exactly how the separation and remarriage went down, no scandal involved. She accuses the chief of favoritism, even implying something inappropriate between us. He slams the table, furious, threatening to report her for slander, reminding her that despite her son's new scholar status, he's not untouchable, and neither is she. Yang Xiaohua, mortified his mother's causing a scene on his wedding day, slaps her himself and tells her knock it off, then smooths things over with the chief, apologizing profusely. The chief lets it go, for now, with a clear warning not to test him again. While the Yang family's throwing a lavish wedding, we're at home setting up a proper grinding stone and mill. Zhuangshi and his father are practically dancing around the new equipment, thrilled they'll never have to borrow or beg from neighbors for flour again. I step outside and suggest we test out the mill by making tofu from scratch, since I actually know the process, even have brine stashed in my space for it. The father and son team up as my assistants. Just then, firecrackers go off in the distance. The wedding starting. Zhuang Shi hesitantly asks if I want to go watch. I laugh him off. Why would I bother watching a cheating scumbag get married? He asks, genuinely, if I'm sure I'm not upset. I point out he's technically my husband now, younger and more capable than Yang Xiaohua ever was, so really, he should feel good about this, not worried about me. I go full flirt mode, honestly enjoying myself, and he gets all shy and secretly delighted. He mumbles about how Yang Xiaohua's handsome and educated while he feels like nothing in comparison. I shut that down fast. Yang Xiaohua's acne-covered face has nothing on him, and reading isn't some unreachable mystery. I'll teach him myself. He lights up at the idea of learning to read, though I clarify, no chasing government exams. That life isn't for him. He's a solid, honest farmer, and that's plenty. Meanwhile, the wedding procession rolls through the village in full spectacle. Yang Xiaohua triumphantly leads his new bride, Huang Wei, into the house for the ceremony. Once alone, he gushes over finally winning her. She snarks back that he should be complimenting her beauty instead, then immediately orders her servants to bring in her dowry, sneering that the peasants here aren't worthy of seeing it. She surveys the modest house, unimpressed that 200 tael only bought this. He explains, awkwardly, that the money had to be split with his brothers since they helped fund his education. She shuts down his attempt at affection, more interested in dealing with wedding guests than romance, until she suddenly changes her mind and decides guests can wait.
What
follows is loud and very public, much to the horror of every young woman and married lady within earshot who flee blushing, while the crude adults laugh it up outside. The village chief, mid-toast, hears the noise and furiously smashes his cup, disgusted that a scholar would behave so shamelessly in broad daylight, and storms off without even finishing his
meal.
The newlyweds spend an entire day and night locked away, skipping the traditional tea ceremony for the parents entirely, and Huang Wei doesn't even bother meeting the extended family. Clear message. She doesn't respect the Yang family one bit, and only fear of the wealthy Huang family keeps the mother-in-law from making a scene about it. The kids, hoping to score favor and gifts from their rich new stepmother, get absolutely nothing for their trouble. Word spreads through the village fast, and people mock the family mercilessly. So much for scholarly propriety. The mother-in-law defends her son fiercely, insisting it's all perfectly legal since they're married now. The villagers roast her further, pointing out her son barely scraped into the scholar rankings, nearly failed outright. She threatens that once her son gets his government post, they'll all regret mocking her. The villagers shoot back. Laws apply to everyone, scholar or not, and her son's rich in-laws aren't above the law either. Someone points out the new bride didn't even bring proper greeting gifts for the stepkids, undercutting her wealthy household, bragging. She storms off, humiliated. Zhuang Shi hears the whole scandal secondhand while fetching water and turns beet red, apparently impressed despite himself, wondering if that's just what women want. Immediately curses himself for the thought. Meanwhile, our tofu-making venture is a full success, matches store quality, and we've got extra to share with the Sun family. We branch out into soy milk, silken tofu, dried tofu, even fried dough sticks to pair with it, quickly becoming a daily breakfast staple. I never planned on turning this into a business, too competitive locally, too labor-intensive, mostly just did it to feed my own cravings, honestly. I've been mentally planning for winter. Gather more herbs and goods before the cold sets in, stockpile silver, figure out spring plans later. Right as I'm thinking this through, Zhuang Shi approaches with a proposal. Qin Yue, I want to run something by you. Farming season's slow right now, and jobs are scarce in town. What if I started selling tofu door to door? I flash him a smirk and ask if he wants the honest answer. He hesitates. I tell him straight. He's not exactly a natural businessman, but honestly, he should give it a shot anyway. Worst case, he learns something, best case, extra income. He heads to the kitchen motivated. Meanwhile, my hearing's sharper than ever now. 5th stage cultivation has its perks, and I catch every whispered word between his mother and Annie's son, gossiping about Yang Xiaohua's increasingly desperate attempts to please his new wife. Poor scrawny scholar, never done a day of manual labor, probably going to get worked into the ground trying to keep her happy. His father joins him in the kitchen. They bond over tofu making and end up gossiping about the Yang scandal, Zhuangshi calling Yang Xiaohua a disgrace to scholars for treating a woman like me so poorly. His father teasingly asks if he's developed feelings for me. Zhuangshi deflects hard, just standing up for me, nothing more. His father, lowering his voice, mentions rumors that Yang Xiaohua secretly visits brothels, and the new bride's got her own scandalous history. Zhuangshi shrugs it off. Karma will handle them eventually. His father then admits, quietly, he genuinely hopes the fake marriage becomes real someday. Zhuangshi panics, insisting it's purely a debt repayment arrangement. Nothing more. His mother's clear hostility toward me makes anything real feel impossible anyway. Over the next few days, I stay home tending chickens and dogs while Zhuangshi shows me the progress on the fields, clearing debris, planning fertilizer rotation, prepping the land for next season with proper soil layering based on my own past life farming knowledge from my old dimensional garden. I point out some neighboring land and tell him to inquire about buying it through the chief, even if it's overpriced regular farmland, not the good soil kind. He questions the logic, worried I'm wasting money. I shut that down fast. I have my reasons, just go ask. He tries to negotiate cheaper. I threaten to smack him. He backs off immediately, sulking about just trying to save me money. Meanwhile, his solo tofu selling venture flops spectacularly. Villagers who know him lowball him mercilessly, since they know his character won't push back. Strangers in other villages, mostly groups of women, gang up to haggle him down to nothing, and being a young guy alone facing a crowd of aggressive housewives, he's completely outmatched. Worse, his soft heart means he keeps giving stuff away to anyone who looks even slightly pitiful. He comes home with an empty cart and negative profits, admitting defeat. His father tells him to just drop it and focus on chores instead, which he does, and starts learning to read and write with me in his spare time. Turns out he's genuinely gifted, sharp memory, quick understanding, decent handwriting already. I'm honestly delighted. Feels like I stumbled onto a hidden gem. I lay out the deal. He can pursue the scholar exam, but only up to the mid-tier level, nothing higher. I don't want him buried in expensive tutoring and years of grinding. He's thrilled just to have a shot at outperforming Yang Xiaohua until he remembers the cost concern. I reassure him. I'll teach him myself, no need for expensive schools or tutors. Then I lay out the bigger plan. Once he passes his exams, we open a village school right here, teaching local kids to read instead of him chasing a corrupt bureaucratic career. Better legacy, less political backstabbing. He's sold on the idea immediately. His mother, meanwhile, is watching from the shade with pure venom in her eyes. Furious I'm apparently blocking her son's path to becoming an official, convinced I'm manipulating him. Under the guise of teaching, she gets so worked up she loses her footing and tumbles right off the platform she's sitting on, screaming loud enough to bring everyone running. His father rushes to help her up. She snaps that she doesn't need our help, then turns her fury directly at me, accusing me of using the reading lessons as an excuse to get close to her son, warning me not to sabotage his future under our fake marriage arrangement. Zhuangshi cuts her off immediately, firmly telling her to stop. This was his own choice, no manipulation involved, and if she keeps this up, she's going to genuinely upset him. She doubles down anyway, dismissing my knowledge entirely, insisting my years at the Yang household don't make me qualified to teach anyone anything. That's the last straw. I grab her by the collar, drag her straight to the front gate, and physically toss her outside. You clearly don't understand your place in this house. I tell her get out today, or accept exactly what's coming to someone who doesn't know when to shut up.
Cue total panic.
His father drops straight to his knees, apologizing for failing to keep her in check. Zhuangshi follows suit, kneeling right beside him. I just stand there, arms crossed, unbothered. His mother, mortified and terrified of the neighbors seeing this, scrambles up onto the porch and kneels too, begging me not to kick her out, swearing she'll never say anything like that again. I lay it out cold. I feed you, house you, fund your entire existence. You have zero standing to lecture me about anything. And honestly, I don't even need to seduce your son. He's already completely mine, body and soul, whenever I want. Try me again, And next time it won't just be a warning. I storm off just as thunder cracks overhead, a massive storm rolling in from the south. Everyone scrambles to get furniture inside before the hail starts pouring down. Once inside, his father turns on his wife with an actual slap across the face. First time in 20 years of marriage he's ever hit her. Trembling, he tears into her. How could her mouth be so poisonous, her sense of shame so absent, her thinking so twisted? Doesn't she realize how good they've got it? She sobs, insisting it was all for their son's sake, for the family's future. He shuts that down hard. He genuinely welcomes Zhuang Shi and me being together for real, and she's forgetting the obvious fact that without me, none of them would even be alive right now. Calls her ungrateful, straight to her face. She brings up grandchildren, worried fake marriage means no heirs, or that my age means I can't have kids at all. He coldly suggests she should have just stayed unconscious forever if this is how she's going to behave. That genuinely rattles her, makes her wonder if her own husband, maybe even her son, secretly resents her too. Meanwhile, I'm quietly plotting renovations. Eventually I'll rebuild the whole house and demote her out of the main room entirely, teach her exactly where she stands. The rain pours harder. I stand in my doorway watching it, appreciating, despite the chaos, how comfortable this life actually is. Meals appear, the house stays clean, someone's always waiting when I get home. Genuinely nice. Minus one specific person, obviously. Then the gate rattles. It's the Sun family, dropping off their two young kids, 7 and 4, for the night since their own roof is leaking and needs emergency repair. Zhuang Shi welcomes them in without hesitation. He sets the kids up in his room and heads to cook simple noodle soup given the rain, but he throws in preserved pork and green beans, thinking about how rarely the Sun family gets meat. The smell draws the kids' attention instantly, and plot twist. Turns out their mother Qiao's been coaching them to angle for free meals here regularly, even telling them eating at our house will help them grow tall. Subtle parenting, real subtle. Zhuang Shi serves everyone, me first, then his parents, then the kids, sitting with them while they eat. The boy, mid-bite, casually asks why there's no stir-fry tonight like usual, since apparently his mother bragged about our multi-dish dinners. Zhuang Shi keeps his composure, calmly explains it's just because of the rain, and invites them back another day for the full spread. The boy then relays, completely unfiltered, that his mother wants them eating here every single day going forward. Zhuang Shi's appetite dies a little right there, but he handles it smoothly, tells the kid to relay back that they're welcome anytime, and also, feel free to just join the Zhuang family officially if they want daily meals here. Boy immediately backpedals, no way, they're Sun family. Zhuang Shi points out, gently but firmly, then they should be eating Sun family food. Uncle can treat them once or twice, but not indefinitely. I'm listening from the next room, genuinely delighted. The student has learned well. Meanwhile, upstairs, his mother's back at it, pivoting her complaints from me to the kids instead, grumbling about wasted meat on 2 random children. His father snaps at her again, comparing her unfavorably to Auntie Sun's generosity, threatening, half serious now, that he'll straight up divorce her if she keeps acting like this. She cries, genuinely stunned her husband's never spoken to her this way before, privately seething with resentment toward me for triggering this whole shift in the household dynamic. The storm eventually settles into light rain, floodwater receding as the clouds move on. I stay in my room reading by candlelight, trying to better understand this world through the books I bought. Then, a soft meow catches my ear. I peek out the window into the darkness and follow the sound to the wall, where I spot several glowing eyes. Red, green, blue. 3 adorable soaked kittens, absolutely drenched from the storm. Then a bigger cat leaps up beside them. Mama cat, clearly. I offer them shelter, doing my best, harmless human energy. Mama cat licks her babies, seems to make a decision, and meows back at me. Consent granted, apparently. I scoop the kittens up gently, Mama trailing right behind me into the house. Mentally, I promise myself, play nice and I'll be gentle, misbehave and you'll meet my enforcement side. I pull out a wooden box from my space, line it with soft fabric, dry them off carefully, and finally get a good look. Gorgeous golden tabby patterns, big ears, Honestly stunning. I turn into a complete puddle over them, drooling like an idiot. Quite the contrast from my past life assassin persona. Turns out across 2 lifetimes, I've always been a sucker for fuzzy things. Mama Cat's clearly starving, so I pull a whole roast chicken from my space and shred it up for all of them. The kittens abandon nursing entirely to fight Mama for the meat. I name them Little Red, Little Green, Little Blue, and Mama becomes Little Leopard. Not the most creative names, but they work. That night, I sleep on the bed while the 4 cats settle into their box on the floor, full bellies, no fussing. Next morning, Auntie's son shows up to collect her kids since her roof's repaired. Both kids whine about not wanting to leave, bragging about last night's meat feast, embarrassing her thoroughly in front of us. Zhuangshi generously insists they stay for breakfast, fresh soy milk and fried dough sticks, and she caves, tempted to spite herself. Breakfast is a hit, sweetened soy milk, savory fried dough. The kids devour everything nonstop while Auntie's son eats her fill too, admitting she always overeats at her house. His mother makes a passive-aggressive comment about her visiting more often if she likes the food so much, and Auntie's son, noticing the swelling on her face, gets suspicious but decides not to pry, politely declining to overstay her welcome as chores waiting at home. Then, mortifyingly, her granddaughter asks why Grandpa and the parents haven't gotten to try the leftover fried dough, insisting on bringing some home for her mother.
Auntie.
Son is horrified, but Zhuangshi smoothly wraps up the leftovers and hands them over without complaint, though the audacity of a child demanding takeout doesn't go unnoticed. Once home, Annie's son chews out her daughter-in-law Qiao for raising such shameless kids, eating someone else's food and demanding takeout on top of it. Qiao, predictably, spins it as the kids being thoughtful for bringing food home to share. When she sees the golden fried dough sticks, her eyes light up and she practically inhales one before Auntie's son manages to snatch the rest away. Auntie's son deeply regrets ever letting her son marry. This woman distributes the leftovers fairly among the actual household and smacks her son for good measure, blaming him for not controlling his wife better, though privately she knows that ship sailed long ago. Back home, I find Mama Cat's returned, with a giant dead rat, which the whole family is happily gnawing on.
Gross.
I redirect them outside for hunting snacks going forward, then check them over for fleas. Thankfully clean. Right then, Big Yellow and her puppies bound in, and Mama Cat immediately arches up defensively, hissing to protect her kittens. I step between them like a peacekeeper, laying down the house law. Everyone's family now, no bullying allowed, or you're all getting kicked out. A bark and a meow later, ceasefire achieved. I settle cross-legged with my book, eyes on the page, mind quietly drifting into my space instead. Apparently rescuing the leopard cat family counted as a good deed. Space upgrade. My storage space grows from a cozy 12 square meters to over 20, complete with proper doors and windows now. Outside, there's a fresh plot of black soil, roughly an acre, with an ancient well in the center marked Merit Well. I peer in dark, dizzying, like staring into an actual void. Concerned it's cursed water, I focus and pull a small handful into my palm. Turns out it's just crystal clear, refreshingly sweet water. Even seems to speed up my cultivation slightly. Definitely drinking this regularly. I check the soil too. Rich, earthy smell, clearly fertile. But where's the actual reward beyond real estate? Back at the book table, new golden text. 3 kittens earned 30 merit, Mama Cat earned 5, bringing my total to 125. Then I notice 3 small boxes and a thicker book sitting there. Opening the boxes, green onion, ginger, and garlic seeds. Real exciting stuff. The book turns out to be a cookbook. Is my merit space seriously trying to turn a former assassin and legendary doctor into a chef? I glare at the cover, and the text shifts to explain. Level 1 rewards, 3 seed types and a cookbook, while water and soil now function at 5 times normal potency, stackable. Level 2 requires 500 merit points total. I mentally threaten the space with destruction. Immediate headache. Fine, I'll learn to cook, no big deal. How hard can it be? Headache vanishes instantly. I genuinely suspect this thing has actual sentience at this point. I plant all 3 seed types across the black soil, water them with the merit well, and watch them sprout at visibly accelerated speed, way better than my old dimensional garden ever managed. By July, the onions, ginger, and garlic have produced multiple harvests, practically overflowing the house. Turns out only these special reward seeds work in the black soil. Regular mountain forage seeds refuse to grow there entirely. Frustrating, but I've learned not to argue with the space directly. Headaches, remember. The produce itself is noticeably superior, vibrant color, intense flavor, way better than anything available locally. Rainy season hits in July, keeping me stuck at home, unable to forage or shop. I pass the time studying the cookbook, whip up a batch of 5-spice powder, and teach Zhuangshi some new recipes. His cooking improves dramatically. Everyone's eating better, looking healthier, actual color returning to their faces. With funds running low again, I hitch up the ox and head out despite the gloomy sky. Zhuangshi offers to tag along, but I shut that down fast. Assign him homework instead, writing practice, memorization. Mostly because having him around would seriously cramp my style when it comes to secretly stuffing goods into my space. The boy's getting way too curious for his own good. On the road, villagers gawk as usual, mostly too intimidated to approach directly. 2 particularly bold women shout out, asking to borrow the ox. I flatly refuse. They push back, annoyed, and I coldly point out we're not close enough for favors. They insult me, calling me an ungrateful cast-off wife destined to be divorced again eventually. I fire back, suggesting their own husbands probably fantasize about divorcing them regularly. They challenge me to a fight. I hop off the cart grinning, hands itching for a scuffle, my favorite pastime, honestly, and they immediately chicken out, backpedaling into fake indifference. Message received by the rest of the onlookers. Don't test me. Further down the road, I run into the young mother-in-law again, this time gossiping with Huang Wei over sunflower seeds while servants fan them. The mother-in-law's putting on a real performance for her new daughter-in-law, but the second she spots me, her tone shifts to venomous glee, pointing me out as the ex. Huang Wei sizes me up unimpressed, plain-looking, short, nothing special. The mother-in-law piles on, insisting I'm boring and joyless compared to her, claiming I've turned into an unhinged shrew since leaving. Then she spits some real venom, hoping I die. Soon, since I'd rather spend money on strangers than my own children, my ox, Little Water, sneezes right on cue. I like to imagine he's silently judging her too. Huang Wei asks, almost thoughtfully, whether my birth family knows about the separation. The mother-in-law admits she made sure word got sent to them specifically to make my life harder, even if there's nothing they can actually do about it. Huang Wei just hums, quietly comparing herself to me, while I could not care less, already trotting the ox cart onward toward the main road. Weather's rough, roads are empty. So I take advantage of the privacy to pull about 50 pounds of my special onion ginger garlic haul out of storage, figuring I can sell some to save up for land later. Greenstone Town. Past the archway, I spot a small girl selling wild greens by the roadside, scrawny, sunken-cheeked, hopeful eyes scanning for customers. Whether it's the veggies or the kid tugging at my heart, I stop the cart. I ask the price. She admits she doesn't even own a scale, tells me to pay whatever I think is fair. I offer 20 copper coins for the whole batch, more than fair, and she's stunned, insisting it's too much, since most buyers only give her 10. Honest kid. I hand it over anyway, buy the greens, and get an idea. I offer her a job helping me sell my own produce today for a wage. She's thrilled. She suggests setting up near a busy shop instead of the roadside. I take her to the pharmacy. Owner Sue's there, hoping I'm delivering more herbs, slightly disappointed I'm just borrowing space to sell veggies instead. But the moment he sees my onions, ginger, and garlic, he's floored by the quality. I let the girl handle sales, giving her pricing rules and negotiation limits. She turns out to be a natural, loud, charming sales pitch, drawing a crowd instantly. Owner Sue tastes a raw garlic clove and green onion on my insistence, impressed despite himself, and rushes off to fetch his brother, who runs a local restaurant. His brother's equally impressed and takes a sample home, hinting at future regular orders. Exactly what I was hoping for, daily delivery beats standing around a market stall. Sales trickle in throughout the day. High prices scare some off. Curiosity wins over others. The girl hands me her earnings proudly. I'm impressed enough to ask her name. Turns out she doesn't have a proper one, just goes by Nyonyo, raised by her grandmother, surname Yu. I give her a real name on the spot, Yu Qingwan. She tears up, thanking me, immediately upgrading me in her head from big sister to Auntie. Mildly annoying since I was sister like 5 minutes ago, but fine, I'll take it. I tell her where to find me if she's ever in trouble, but clarify I'm not running free charity. Help comes with strings sometimes. She calls me the kindest person she's ever met. I brush it off and send her back to selling. Right then, chaos erupts inside the pharmacy. The wealthy Huang family's elderly matriarch has collapsed, gravely ill, and the resident doctors completely stumped. Normally, I'd stay out of it, professional courtesy and all, but merit points are merit points, so I wander in to observe. The old woman's lips are purple, jaw locked, barely breathing. The doctor's terrified of using needles given her fragile condition, worried he'll get blamed if she dies. Owner Sue, desperate, remembers I clearly know medicine and asks if I can help. I confidently declare full confidence, full responsibility if anything goes wrong. He hands over a fine acupuncture needle set. I clear the room and go to work. 18 needles, placed with blinding speed, right through her clothing. The room falls dead silent, servants terrified, unsure whether to stop me or trust a random stranger doing rapid-fire acupuncture on their dying mistress. 15 minutes later, her lips regain color, her jaw relaxes. I produce a pill from my sleeve, have it dissolved in warm water, and, not exactly gently, force it down her throat, ignoring the horrified servants wincing at my bedside manner. I diagnose her privately, heart condition, long-standing, clearly severe this time, though I keep the modern medical terms to myself. Diabetes, hypertension, blood clots, concepts nobody here would understand anyway. I tell owner Sue she'll wake shortly. I ask if the needle set can just count as my consultation fee. He agrees instantly, no hesitation. I head back out to finish selling my vegetables. I like my peace and quiet, and he gets the hint immediately. Walking out, owner Sue can't help but stare after me, increasingly convinced this village woman is secretly some kind of hidden master in disguise. Right as I'm zoning out, the old lady comes to, sits up, and apologizes politely to owner Sue for the trouble, very gracious for someone who just nearly died. She has her maid hand over a 50-tael note before heading home by palanquin. Owner Sue tries to give me a share, 10 tael for saving her, but I decline, saying the needles are payment enough. He insists it's only fair since I basically saved his shop's reputation too. I brush it off, saying I only help when fate puts someone in front of me, not looking to disrupt my peaceful little life. He gets philosophical about the value of saving lives, and I get a bit dark, pointing out everyone's eventually heading to the same place regardless. I just help extend the trip a little when it crosses my path. He counters that good people deserve the extra time, since their survival ripples out to help others too. I'm genuinely impressed. Didn't expect this level of depth from a shop owner. He hands me the silver anyway, and I finally accept. Small victory for him. Means I'll probably keep helping in the future. Right on cue, his brother returns, thrilled, wanting to buy my entire vegetable supply permanently, daily delivery, exclusive rights, no haggling on my flat rate. I agree. Restaurant gets first dibs on everything from now on, no more market stalls needed. Total haul today, 750 copper from veggies, plus 10 tael and a needle set from the emergency treatment. Turns out having actual skills beats farming labor every time. I notice little Qingwan looking dejected, feeling like she didn't earn her cut. I offer her 30 copper anyway. She refuses, insisting she didn't do enough to deserve it. I offer a compromise, help me again next time. We'll call it even. She admits, hesitant but honest, that her grandmother's sick and money's tight. So I make her an actual offer. Come work at my place daily, 10 copper a day. She's thrilled beyond words. Turns out she lives in a nearby village, close enough for me to just drive her home myself. Along the way I pick up extra supplies, eggs, snacks, cornmeal, and load her up before dropping her off, plus a bit of silver as a loan, repayable through future work. She's crying by the time I leave. Overwhelmed. Back home before dark, Zhuangshi brings me cold noodles, sweet and sour with a bit of spice, exactly how I described. We eat together, him fanning me in the heat, comfortable domestic energy between us. I check his homework, all done, good boy. Then I lay down a new rule. Stop letting Qiao and her kids freeload here so much. Kick them out if they show up uninvited. He hesitates, citing the Sun family's past kindness. I remind him that debt is his family's, not mine. Being a pushover is a weakness that'll cause problems down the road. Play nice with people who deserve it. Ignore everyone else, especially freeloaders who've clearly got no shame themselves. Also, the ox stays exclusively for Sun family use if they ever need it, nobody else, and even then sparingly so little water gets proper rest. Zhuangshi glances over at the sleeping pile of puppies and kittens, admiring how healthy and striking they've all grown. He asks about the puppies' unusual features. Turns out I've noticed too. Their father was likely a wolf, making them wolf-dog hybrids, potentially stronger than either parent someday. The kittens, meanwhile, are leopard cats, larger, wilder, incredibly capable hunters, perfect future pest control once we buy more land. I call Mama Cat over. She leaps into my lap purring, clearly thriving on good food and care. Big Yellow trots over proudly showing off her grown pups too. The whole house fills with a chaotic mix of human, cat, and dog conversation, and honestly, everyone's happy. Watching from outside, Zhuangshi smiles quietly to himself. This, he thinks, might be the only time I ever look completely, genuinely at ease. Late at night, moonlight blankets the yard while my mind's off working the space, using pure mental focus to tend the fields. Old assassin habit. My mental discipline is honestly overkill for something as simple as gardening. I check my merit tally. Turns out saving that elderly woman today earned a whopping 100 points, apparently because she's a genuinely charitable person in real life. Little Qingwan's rescue added 10 more, probably counting her grandmother too. Total, 135 points now. Next level up is getting closer. Next morning, prepping for another delivery run, I spot a group approaching and immediately recognize them. My birth family. Original owner's blood relatives, apparently right on cue after the young mother-in-law's little tip-off. Nice try, but a few extra bodies aren't going to intimidate me. Bring it on, I'll knock down as many as show up. I grab a stick from the yard and plant myself at the gate, glaring them down. Leading the pack are the original parents, followed by 2 brothers and their kids, clearly struggling financially themselves, judging by the patched-up clothes. They immediately start scolding me. How dare I separate without telling family? How dare I marry someone so much younger and poorer? Am I out of my mind? I fire back. They're the ones who sound unhinged. They call me shameless for leaving Yang Xiaohua at all, insisting I should have stayed and endured demotion to concubine status for the family's benefit. I point out the obvious. Why would I stick around to be someone's discarded sidewife? They admit, bluntly, they'd have been fine with that arrangement if it meant a connection to money. Real supportive parents, truly. I cut to the chase. Why are they actually here? Turns out, they want me to divorce Zhuangshi, hand over the ox and everything I've bought, and come home so they can marry me off again to someone better. I nearly choke laughing. This family and the Yang family really are cut from the same shameless cloth. Zhuangshi's family is right behind me, tense. His father digs up 2 sturdy sticks from the woodshed, hands one to his son, keeps one himself. His mother watches from the shadows, half hoping I get taken down a peg, half worried actual violence might break out. The whole village gathers to watch, including the young mother-in-law and Huang Wei, snacking on sunflower seeds like it's dinner theater. I tell my own family plainly to stay out of it. This is between me and my birth family. Then I notice Zhuangshi glaring intensely at Huang Wei with what looks like genuine hatred. Odd, since there's no obvious reason they'd know each other. Filing that away for later. I lay down the law. Local law states married women follow their husbands, and everything I've bought belongs to the Zhuang household now. They get nothing. My mother snaps back, calling me shameless, warning I'll regret it without family backing someday. I remind her, where was that backing during my entire miserable marriage to the Yang family? They threaten to cut me off entirely if I don't comply. I welcome it enthusiastically. Please be my guest. Undeterred, they pivot to guilt-tripping about the debt of raising me, demanding the ox and belongings as repayment. I remind them I already settled that debt years ago with 2 taels of silver, and legally, daughters owe nothing further once married out. My birth mother tries a softer emotional angle. We're blood. Please help your struggling family. Honestly, if she'd led with that, maybe I'd have considered something small.
But now?
Absolutely not. Given once, and they'll be back monthly with their hands out forever. I am, after all, still the same ruthless assassin underneath. Family ties be damned when people show me who they really are. Ask what exactly they think they're owed. My birth brother jumps in immediately. Just the ox, 100 pounds of grain, some lard, and 100 taels of silver while we're at it. Not much, apparently. I nearly lose it laughing at the audacity. He rushes me to hurry up since they've got a 20-mile walk home. I ask what happens to my family if I hand all that over. He shrugs. That's my problem. I can just earn more. That's it. Before he finishes his sentence, I swing my stick straight into his leg. He goes down screaming, clutching his thigh. The family scrambles to help him up, shocked and furious that I'd actually strike my own brother. I correct them. He's not my brother, not anymore. We cut ties, remember? I warn them to leave now before my stick gets even less discriminating. Watching from a distance, the young mother-in-law and Huang Wei are stunned. Turns out this trick doesn't work on me either. The mother-in-law starts genuinely spooked, whispering to Huang Wei that I must be possessed by some spirit or demon, since my personality's done a complete 180. Spooked themselves, the two scurry off before things escalate further. My birth family, seeing I won't budge, decides to escalate, moving to just physically force their way in and grab what they want. Zhuang Shi and his father immediately rush out, sticks in hand, blocking the path, ready to fight if my birth family actually tries anything. My father just stares, trembling with fury. So this is the daughter I raised. I tell him plainly, take it to court if he's got a problem. Nobody moves. Eventually, exactly like the Yang family before them, my birth family slinks away, tail between their legs, all bark and no follow-through. The villagers watch the whole thing with a new level of respect. Clearly the message has landed. Don't mess with the Zhuang household, period. Once they're gone, I tell everyone to head home and start locking the gate when I'm out, just in case. Zhuang Shi, still fuming, insists nobody's touching our stuff while he's around. I tease him, eat well, bulk up, I like my men strong, and he goes red instantly. By the time he recovers from the compliment, I've already driven off. At home, his mother's furious but silent, dragging her blushing son inside. His father, meanwhile, is thrilled. What a daughter-in-law, capable and protective. His mother grumbles that she also causes trouble everywhere she goes. His father shuts that down fast. Not her fault greedy families keep showing up, and honestly, without me, they'd both be dead, and the family would have fallen apart completely. Zhuang Shi backs him up, scolding her for tempting fate with her ingratitude. She insists she only wants what's best for the family. Zhuang Shi points out that if she really did, she'd stop being so blind about it. His father heads off to work. Zhuang Shi retreats to his room, mind completely consumed, though not by his mother's drama. Turns out Huang Wei, Yang Xiaohua's new wife, has some deep, ugly history with Zhuang Shi from his previous life. Details unclear to us, but the hatred's real and personal. He never expected to cross paths with her again in this new timeline, assumed fate had rerouted, but apparently some threads stay tangled no matter what. This time, he vows, he won't be the coward he was before. If it comes to a fight, he's not backing down. He forces himself to calm down and heads to the kitchen, determined to take good care of me while I'm out earning for the family. My daily routine settles. Sell veggies in the morning, home for lunch, roughly 750 copper a day, over 20 taels monthly, more than enough for the household. I give Zhuang Shi 2 taels a month for expenses, let him save the rest. His mother, hearing about the arrangement, suggested she should be the one managing the money instead. Zhuang Shi flatly refuses. If she'd stop antagonizing me constantly, maybe, but as it stands, no way I'm handing my earnings to someone actively working against me. 2 weeks later, light rain outside, a soft knock at the gate. Zhuang Shi answers to find a small girl he doesn't recognize, asking for Andy. Turns out it's Qingwan, seeking me specifically. She never even knew my name, just recognized me by description. She's in tears, having witnessed my acupuncture rescue at the pharmacy, begging me to save her dying grandmother now. I learned she's been home taking care of her this whole time, missing our arranged work days as a result. Seeing her soaked clothes, I pull her inside immediately, change her into dry clothes, mine close enough in size, and we're off in the ox cart within minutes. Zhuang Shi insists on driving us himself, thoughtfully rigging up a rain cover and cushions beforehand, thrilled just to be included, honestly. On the ride, I ask about her grandmother's symptoms: severe coughing blood today, now unresponsive, but still breathing. Based on the description, I've got a rough diagnosis, but no modern medicine to fall back on, only local herbs. Success isn't guaranteed. We arrive at her tiny village, similarly impoverished to ours. I check the grandmother's pulse. It's bad, but salvageable, assuming I can find the right rare herbs, which the local pharmacy definitely won't stock. Qingwan begs me to front the cost, promising to work off the debt indefinitely. I reassure her I never do charity work at a loss. Don't worry about that. Just worry about finding the ingredients, which honestly comes down to luck. I use acupuncture to stabilize her grandmother's condition immediately, buying time, then promise to search the mountains for the needed herbs. 3 days max. Qingwan drops to her knees in gratitude. I check the pantry situation. Completely empty, the last of my previous gift already used to pay off debts. Good thing I packed supplies before leaving. I hand over rice and eggs, instruct her to make a nourishing porridge for her grandmother immediately. On the ride home, I notice Zhuang Shi staring blankly ahead, clearly distracted. I ask directly, "Do you know Huang Wei?" He pales instantly, insisting he doesn't, just heard about her. I catch the lie immediately and drop something that makes his heart rate spike on the spot. I ask him straight up, "You're reborn too, aren't you?" Zhuang Shi grips the reins tighter, speechless. I don't even wait for the answer. His face already gave it away. I push further. "Were you married to her in your past life?" He nods, eyes welling up. Turns out in his previous life, he married into the Huang family to save his sick parents, got treated like garbage by Huang Wei, who paraded lovers around and eventually beat him to death during one of her rage episodes. Absolutely tragic, and honestly, wildly on brand for how cursed his last life sounds. My arrival apparently rewrote his fate, but somehow the universe just reshuffled the same terrible woman back into his orbit anyway. Fate's got a sick sense of humor. Curious about my own past self, I ask how the original Qin Yue died. He tells me plainly, after getting kicked out of the Yang household, she killed herself. I scoff, suicide? Weak move. Dying doesn't punish anyone but yourself. It just leaves the actual villains free and clear. He looks at me carefully, noting I clearly don't act like the original Qin Yue at all. I confirm it, not fully her, not entirely someone else either, just occupying her body now, and I'm not particularly interested in the mechanics of how or why. He asks if it's possession, soul swap, something else, takes it in stride, given his own similar situation. I admit I have no idea myself, just landed here somehow, though thankfully in time to actually save this family instead of letting the original Qin Yue's story end tragically. He admits, blushing, that he actually prefers this version of me over the meek original, admires my personality and how I handle things. I tease him about staying loyal, no pulling a chin shimmy on me. He's never heard the reference, so I explain. Old story about a scholar who abandons his loyal wife once he gets rich and important, gets brutally executed for it in the end by an incorruptible judge. He's thoroughly satisfied by the ending and swears he'd never do something so shameless himself. I remind myself of past life gold diggers who sweet-talked their way into my trust before betraying me, one specific memory involving someone I eventually disposed of. Anyone who plays games with my feelings doesn't get a second chance. Next day, sun's out after the rain. I send Zhuang Shi off with reading assignments and head into the mountains myself. Muddy, slippery terrain, but my cultivation lets me dry off with body heat whenever needed. And at this level, I don't even need to avoid the big predators anymore. Following a new trail today, I hit the jackpot. 2 centuries-old fleece flower roots, worth 100 tael. I also need a rare 100-year ginseng as a catalyst for Qingyuan's grandmother's medicine. Normally hundreds of tael to buy, way beyond my current funds, so the mountain's my only real shot. While resting mid-afternoon, I hear faint whimpering. Follow the sound between 2 rocks, and find a newborn panda cub, genuinely stunned. Judging by its weak condition, either the mother died protecting it or, more likely, chose to carry off a stronger sibling and abandon this one. Standard panda parenting apparently. Way harder to raise than cats or dogs, but I can't just leave it. I wrap it in cloth and try feeding it water from my merit well, figuring the enhanced properties might help since it's basically medicine grade. It works. The cub drinks eagerly, falls asleep in my arms after several spoonfuls. Finally, after 2 lifetimes of loving animals, I get my dream pet, an actual panda. Legendary sacred beast material, basically, mythologized as the mount of ancient deities in old stories. Given how potent my level 1 merit well already is, I wonder what a lifetime of drinking it might do to this little guy's development. Exciting thought. Right as I settle the cub, I spot something above me. A plant with 6 leaves cradling a cluster of tiny red berries. Good deeds, good rewards, apparently. A 500-year-old wild ginseng root. Right there for the taking. Jackpot doesn't begin to cover it. Just a few roots as medicine catalyst leaves the whole root intact, meaning I can basically coast through winter on this discovery alone. I decide to test something. Can I actually plant ginseng in my space's black soil, since it refused regular seeds before? Turns out yes, spiritual plants apparently qualify differently than normal crops. I plant some root fibers and watch it immediately take root and grow before my eyes. If ginseng works, surely Lingji mushrooms will too. Test that immediately, also successful. Endless money glitch unlocked, basically. On the way home, I rescue 3 baby owls, featherless, mother killed by hailstones while shielding them, staying loyal to her nest until the very end. Even hardened assassin me gets a little emotional over that kind of devotion. I feed them shredded pork until they stop crying. Get home at dusk, immediately settle the panda cub and owlets into separate boxes. Introduce the panda cub, Little Iron, to Mama Leopard Cat, who's initially defensive but ends up nursing and grooming him anyway once she calms down. Zhuangshi walks in, delighted and baffled by the new additions. I explain their sad backstories. Hailstorm orphaned owls, mother abandoned panda. He's touched by my soft spot for strays and mentions the local folk names for both species. Owls are supposedly omens of death here, which I promptly debunk as superstitious nonsense, and pandas are called iron-eating beasts locally, matching the cub's new name perfectly. He happily takes charge of housing all 3 critters in his room, thrilled to have pets of his own now too. Next day, I finish prepping the medicine before lunch. Lives on the line. Food can wait. Zhuangshi immediately drops what he's doing and insists on coming along. His father, always Team Qin Yue, encourages it enthusiastically. His mother mutters curses under her breath. She knows exactly what her husband's doing, quietly matchmaking us behind her back despite her disapproval. Riding through the village, we get plenty of attention. Apparently us being seen together in public is a novelty. Villagers gossip loudly enough for us to hear. Some mock the age gap couple. Others actually defend us, admitting we look pretty well matched despite the years between us. A guy who knows Zhuangshi shouts a teasing question about where we're headed. Zhuangshi answers proudly. Out with my wife, which gets more ribbing about robbing the cradle, chewing on old bark, etc. He fires back without missing a beat. If this guy can handle his own wife's looks, surely he can appreciate how great mine is. I burst out laughing. This boy's developing some real comedic timing. Between the cultivation enhanced skin, silky smooth from all that merit well water, just a bit tan, and my ongoing internal plans for minor, surgical enhancements down the line, honestly, I'm not too worried about my looks holding up long term. We reach the village, deliver the medicine to Qingyuan's grandmother directly, and I make sure the girl knows the dosing schedule clearly. 2 packets daily, morning and night. She's overwhelmed with gratitude, promising to work off every bit of the debt. Villagers gawk at Zhuangshi, confused why the previously friendless Qingyuan household suddenly has visitors. He shuts down their curiosity with a cold stare, confirming firmly their family now, protective instincts fully activated. Back on the road, I check my merit total mentally. 3 owls, 30 points. The panda cub, 10 points. Plus helping the grandmother, 10 more. 175 total now. Zhuangshi, curious, finally asks about my past life. I keep it simple. Female doctor, decent fighting skills against regular people, not obviously supernatural, thankfully avoiding the assassin reveal. Died of old age. Older than this current body even. He mentions he died at 20. I offer to get him some books on the afterlife/rebirth topic sometime, since he's clearly fascinated by the concept. Right as we roll back into the village, we run smack into Yang Xiaohua and Huang Wei, heading out for a visit to her family. He's got her wrapped possessively, throwing a smug look at Zhuangshi like he's won something. Zhuangshi's mind goes blank with rage at the sight of her, instinctively pulls me into a tight embrace right back, throwing an equally smug look at Yang Xiaohua. Internal monologue, roughly. You think your trash wife is a prize? Mine's the actual moon compared to your garbage. Eat your heart out. I play along beautifully, resting my head on his shoulder, the picture of domestic bliss. Yang Xiaohua's practically grinding his teeth, and Huang Wei smacks him for staring too long, suspicious he's still hung up on me. He denies it, claiming disgust rather than jealousy, insisting Zhuangshi picked up trash and treats it like treasure. Huang Wei, reading between the lines like the shrewd operator she is, studies Zhuangshi thoughtfully, sensing, correctly, that Yang Xiaohua's a little too invested in this. Interesting. Once we're home and out of view, Zhuangshi snaps out of the act, flustered, quickly explaining he was just performing to spite Yang Xiaohua, hoping I'm not upset. I burst out laughing. That was perfect. Exactly the energy I want going forward whenever we run into them. He blushes furiously and bolts for the kitchen the second his father appears. Over lunch, his father updates us. The chief confirmed the neighboring land purchase is doable, just needs enough silver behind it. Good. Aiming to close that deal by harvest season. After lunch, I check on little Iron the panda cub, sleeping soundly, well cared for by Mama Leopard Cat. I lounge with little Leopard purring in my lap, chatting nonsense at her about the new pets, warning Big Yellow not to bully the little ones. Feeling generous, I grab a bucket and take the whole menagerie, 6 dogs, for cats, down to the river for some fishing fun. Zhuangshi hovers by the door, clearly wanting to join but too shy to ask. I glance back and wave him over. No need to be weird about it. He grins like an idiot, locks up the gate, and hurries to catch up. We reach the unnamed river at the base of the mountain, clear, wide, shallow at the edges. Perfect for fishing. Zhuangshi rolls up his pants, confidently claims fishing expertise, tells me to stay dry on the bank. I roll mine up too, insisting I can fish just fine. He immediately goes red seeing my legs and turns away, flustered. Meanwhile, Big Yellow and her pups happily dive in for a swim, and the leopard cats follow right behind. Turns out they're water-loving cats, unlike normal house cats. Annoyingly, every time I try to actually catch a fish, my head throbs, the space's aversion to harming living things, apparently extending to fish too. I give up and just sit on a rock while Zhuangshi handles the fishing solo. Turns out he's genuinely skilled, quick and precise, filling the bucket fast. The animals pitch in too, catching their own snacks and depositing the bigger fish in the bucket like tiny professional fishermen. Zhuangshi's clearly having the time of his life. Animals, company, a rare moment of pure contentment he's never experienced before in either lifetime. Back home, he preps the fish for dinner, and it's become a household favorite. Even his mother, who publicly disdains everything, quietly eats more fish than anyone. Fish guts and roe go to the owlets, nothing wasted. 2 weeks later, Qingyuan visits with a fresh basket of wild greens as a gift, updating me that her grandmother woke up the day after I left and has been steadily improving. She announces, adorably flustered, that her grandmother's decided she should follow me from now on, which she clarifies, blushing furiously, means something like devoting herself to me, in the most wholesome, non-romantic sense possible, just extreme loyalty. I laugh, genuinely charmed, and offer a practical compromise. Once Grandma's fully recovered, they can both move closer and work for me together, safer than a daily solo commute. She's thrilled, though visibly a little disappointed our house isn't as grand as she'd imagined given how powerful I clearly am. Still, no complaints, just genuine gratitude. The second she leaves, I get a bad feeling and immediately send Zhuangshi to secretly tail her home. He returns furious half an hour later. Turns out Yu Dan spotted her walking alone on the isolated path between villages and tried to attack her. Repeat offender, apparently, indiscriminate about age or consent as long as he can get away with it. Thankfully, Zhuangshi was right behind, punched him before anything happened, and Yu Dan bolted the second he recognized who he was dealing with. Furious, I decide enough is enough. This predator's had his last warning. Zhuangshi, still shaking with adrenaline, offers to handle the elimination himself, insisting he's already died once. No fear left. I tease him about his trembling hands. He argues murder gets easier the second time. I agree to do it together properly when the timing's right, partly because handling it as a team just feels right at this point. We're basically co-conspirators now, reborn kindred spirits, bonded over shared trauma and a mutual willingness to remove problematic men from the gene pool. Mid-August, the rainy season finally breaks. I finished devouring the cookbook completely, had now permanently full of recipes. His mother, mostly recovered physically, tries reclaiming kitchen duties, but Zhuangshi shuts her down. He's leveled up his cooking skills under my tutelage, and honestly, her cooking just doesn't compare anymore. Plus, given her ulterior motives, he's not handing her any opportunities to cause trouble. From May through August, the Zhuang household mostly stays out of village drama, and gossip about us gradually dies down, replaced by growing chatter about Yang Xiaohua's supposed upcoming government appointment, which the village generally hopes fails given the family's reputation. His mother, restless at home, starts venturing to Auntie Sun's occasionally, relieved nobody openly mocks her there anymore. Still, the odd villager can't resist a jab, needling her about how her health recovery is thanks to me, forcing her to publicly admit, through gritted teeth, that yes, I deserve credit, even though privately she resents every ounce of praise directed my way. When someone teases about grandchildren, she snaps that Zhuangshi's the hardworking one, dismissing my contributions entirely, insisting I just got lucky in the mountains. The villager fires back hard, pointing out Zhuangshi, unremarkable looking and drowning in debt, would have stayed single forever without me, so maybe drop the attitude. His mother snaps back that Zhuangshi's actually handsome, not ugly. The village crowd roasts her over that instantly, teasing her about needing new glasses. The young mother-in-law watches the whole thing from her doorstep, cracking sunflower seeds and smirking, clearly savoring the schadenfreude, probably one of the few things making her feel better lately given the pressure over her son's pending appointment. His mother storms off to Auntie Sun's house, venting through tears about the humiliation. August 16th, his mother's birthday. Zhuangshi asks permission to take his parents into the county town for a little celebration. I wave him off, honestly relieved for some peace and quiet. He offers to cook lunch first. I decline, tell him I've got money and can handle it myself. He confirms 6 taels saved up, plenty for a nice outing, and off they go. With everyone gone, I let the animals run wild in the yard, set the owlets out for sunbathing, and pull well water for the whole crew. Big Yellow's pups, now 4 months old, have grown into proper guard dogs, alert, sharp-eared, quick to bristle at strangers. The leopard kittens, 3 months old, are already skilled hunters. Little Iron, the panda cub, is thriving on a mix of purchased goat milk and Merit well water, growing faster and bigger than expected, actual eyes open now, full black and white coloring coming in. The other pets dote on him constantly, grooming him like a group project. I sit there grinning like an idiot, imagining myself someday riding this mythical sacred beast around like some legendary figure. Okay, more accurately, just an adorable panda taxi, but still cool. Then, a suspicious noise from the east wall. The dogs snap to attention, staring hard. Broad daylight, someone's peeking over the wall. A head pops up, Yu Dan, grinning like the absolute degenerate he is, announcing that with everyone gone, he's here to keep me company. This man has apparently forgotten every single lesson I've already taught his crotch. He eyes the dogs dismissively, insists he can handle a few mutts, and hops over the wall into the yard. The dogs immediately swarm, Big Yellow going for his leg, the pups on his shins, the leopard cat leaping straight for his face. He screams, flailing, blood everywhere, while the animals refuse to let go. I call him off before he bleeds all over my clean yard, grab him by the collar, and toss him right back over the wall like garbage. Clean up the bloodstain with a shovel. Wash my hands thoroughly. Genuinely disgusted. Interestingly, no headache this time from handling him roughly. Filing that away too. Apparently self-defense against a repeat predator doesn't count against me anymore. Meanwhile, Zhuangshi's family rolls into town looking completely transformed. Fresh clothes, healthy color, comfortable cart with cushions. The village can't get over the glow-up. Sick parents fully recovered, no more. Patched rags, an actual ox cart, and apparently meat and eggs at every meal. Better living than even the Yang family's fancy new brick house, which turns out is mostly for show. Word's gotten around that despite appearances, their actual meals aren't much better than average. This drives the Yang mother-in-law absolutely insane with jealousy, taking it out on her daughters-in-law regularly. Watching the Zhuang family ride by in new clothes, she seethes internally, convinced it should all rightfully belong to her family instead, swearing revenge, someday, somehow. Her granddaughter, Qingting, notices her fury and asks what's wrong. The mother-in-law rants about how their own stepmother, Huang Wei, hoards everything for herself while the actual Yang children get nothing. Meanwhile, Zhuang's whole family lives lavishly. Qingting tries to defend the family status. Brick house, mule cart, fine cotton clothes, but her grandmother scoffs, pointing out the mule cart's actually Huang family property they're barely allowed to use, and Huang Wei sneaks good food away privately instead of sharing. Qingting, frustrated but stuck, admits there's nothing they can do since I've already cut ties permanently. The grandmother snaps at her for being spineless, insisting they should just keep pestering me since I'm still, biologically, their mother regardless. Qingting retreats to her room in tears, admitting privately to herself that despite hoping her wealthy new stepmother might spoil her, Huang Wei's been consistently cold and dismissive, even forbidding her and her brother from calling her mother at all, apparently paranoid it'll make her sound old. Meanwhile, Yang Qingyan spots his sister crying and catches up with her. Turns out she got scolded by grandma over the whole mother situation again. He shuts down her regret about not following me when she had the chance, pointing out bluntly that following me meant marrying out of a mud hut, not exactly a step up. Better to stick with their scholar father's household and marry decently, he argues, rather than gamble on my unreliable mountain herb income, which could vanish the day I get eaten by a bear, as far as he's concerned. His sister protests weakly, but he shuts that down too. Focus on embroidery, start saving a dowry, and once they're older, split the household from their father so the grandparents can't control their money anymore. She admits her embroidery earnings currently get confiscated by grandma. He promises to raise that with their father. Meanwhile, Zhuangshi's riding home triumphantly, savoring the young mother-in-law's visible fury from a distance, genuinely delighted by her misery, honestly hoping she just keels over from the stress already. His father's beaming the whole ride, soaking in both the villagers' envy and the mother-in-law's jealousy. Happiest he's ever been in this life. All thanks to me, and he's fully committed to staying on my side no matter what. His mother, meanwhile, keeps her head down, terrified of running into the young mother-in-law after their earlier confrontation. Once safely on the village road, she visibly relaxes, gushing about her birthday noodles from this morning and the promised silver earrings ahead, genuinely thrilled, having never owned real jewelry before. She's learned to keep her complaints about me private now that her husband and son are firmly on my side, sticking instead to safer gossip topics. She asks how much silver Zhuangshi's holding, 6 tael, mostly saved from my monthly allowance. Her face falls slightly when he mentions the budget plan, 3 tael for jewelry, 1 tael for a nice restaurant meal, leaving something in reserve. She pouts that I didn't even acknowledge her birthday. Zhuang Shi bites his tongue, considering how much trash-talking she's done behind my back, which I've heard repeatedly. The audacity is staggering, but stays diplomatic, mentioning I'd actually offered him extra money that he declined. She scolds him for turning down free silver, prioritizing her jewelry over practicality. He snaps back that she should be grateful for what she's getting at all, given how many village women have nothing. She insists I promised to support the family and should follow through generously. His father, silently fuming this whole time, finally cracks and smacks her, hard, across the back instead of the face this time, at least showing some restraint. She cries, insisting she didn't say anything wrong. He lays out the math brutally. A tael a day in medicine for over 3 months equals 100 tael total, still technically unpaid, and servants don't usually get salary on top of that from their masters. Pointed reminder of her actual standing in the household. Zhuang Shi steps in to de-escalate, reminding everyone it's her birthday and they shouldn't be fighting, gently asking her to just drop the Qin Yue comments going forward for everyone's sake. She backs off, but immediately pivots to comparing herself against Xiao and other village women's jewelry collections instead, unable to stay quiet for more than a minute. Zhuang Shi, patient but done, offers a final compromise. 1 tael reserved. Everything else goes to her jewelry, restaurant meal cancelled in favor of street noodles instead. She agrees instantly, demanding only the latest fashionable styles so nobody laughs at her. His father warns her not to flaunt the jewelry too obviously once home, inviting theft. She brushes it off, insisting nobody's ever stolen anything in their village. He shrugs, predicting she'll regret that attitude eventually. Privately, his father's been quietly ashamed the whole trip. None of this jewelry money feels earned, since it's all coming from silver I worked hard for. He asks Zhuang Shi if he's considered buying me something too. Zhuang Shi admits he has, deliberately holding back reserve funds for exactly that, planning to surprise me with jewelry on a future solo trip, since giving his mother free rein today already ate the whole extra budget. At the jewelry shop, his mother goes full extravagant shopping mode despite her supposed thriftiness, endlessly weighing styles, calculating silver content, taking forever. His father waits outside with the cart, too irritated to even watch. Zhuang Shi patiently foots the bill. Final total, a silver hairpin, earrings, and bracelet set, nearly 5 tael, considerably more than planned. Zhuang Shi sighs internally, noting the hypocrisy of a woman who preaches frugality burning through someone else's hard-earned silver without a second thought. Once outside, she immediately puts everything on, positively glowing with pride. The promised restaurant meal gets downgraded to street noodles as agreed, and she sulks through lunch, though she'd already consented to the trade-off earlier. His mother takes 1 bite and starts complaining again. Worse than Zhuang Shi's cooking, she declares. His father nearly loses it, silently regretting agreeing to this whole outing. He snaps that she used to eat plain porridge without a single complaint, and now a few months of good food and she's suddenly a food critic. Eat it or leave, birthday or not. She turns to guilt-trip Zhuang Shi instead, and he caves partially, agreeing not to fight her further if she promises to lay off criticizing me going forward. She agrees, insincerely. They stop at a fabric shop next, and she picks out fine cloth, gleefully depleting the family funds, internally gloating about spending someone else's money out of pure spite. By the time they're done, Zhuang Shi's down to 400 copper from his original 6 tael. Real generous birthday, mostly for her. Riding back through the village, his mother sits proudly, jewelry gleaming, chin held high, absolutely radiating smug satisfaction. The village women immediately clock the jewelry and lose their minds, demanding to know where the money came from. His mother tries dodging, insisting it's just there. Good fortune, now, refusing to credit me directly. The women don't let it slide, calling out her hypocrisy, bad-mouthing me privately while flaunting my hard-earned silver publicly. She doubles down defensively, insisting whatever's mine is essentially hers as family, completely reversing her usual humble act. Then the young mother-in-law spots the jewelry from her porch and absolutely loses it, sprints over, impressive speed for someone her age, climbs onto the moving cart, and starts physically grabbing at his mother's jewelry, screeching that it's rightfully hers since her son's wife earns the money that supposedly funds it all. Insane logic, but that's her. His father intervenes, weakened but managing to buy Zhuangshi enough time to grab her and toss her right off the cart. She hits the ground screaming, then scrambles up, demanding his mother remove the jewelry entirely, since apparently only she deserves such luxury. Zhuangshi coldly reminds her it's their own money, threatens the magistrate if she keeps this up. She threatens back with her son's upcoming government position. He calmly counters that the law doesn't answer to her family specifically, and he trusts the magistrate to be fair regardless. Right then, I show up, overheard the whole thing from home, and figure these three softies clearly can't handle one persistent old menace alone. I put her firmly in her place, reminding her she's less trustworthy than a stray dog at this point. She flinches hard at the sight of me, genuinely shaken by our history, accusing me, again, of not being the real Qin Yue anymore. I lean into it, sarcastically confirming that apparently the real version was the doormat who let herself get abused, and clearly I've disappointed her by refusing to be that anymore. She insists I should still obey her, submit to her authority like the old me used to. I coldly joke I should have poisoned her whole toxic family with rat poison back when I had the chance. She's visibly rattled, genuinely spooked, convinced there's something supernatural going on with me at this point. I tell her to get lost. She bolts home in a full panic, so scared she apparently wets herself the second she gets inside. Iconic. I ignore Zhuangshi's spineless mother entirely and head home with my animal entourage. Zhuangshi's practically glowing, clearly proud of how I handled things. Back home, I settle in with little Iron in my lap, mildly annoyed his mother's back to gloating over her new jewelry the second the coast is clear, but honestly, not worth the energy to care, as long as she keeps her mouth shut about me specifically. I chat with little Iron about the situation, feeding her, housing her, funding her entire life while she talks trash behind my back constantly, and I still let her live. Genuinely too kind for my own good, apparently. Maybe it's time to brew something special, just in case. Watching him grow, a month old and already sturdy, thick fur, bold black and white markings coming in fast, I picture the legendary, iron-eating beast of old myths eventually roaming free here. Though honestly, the image of some big burly warrior riding him seems ridiculous. Someone petite like me suits the aesthetic way better. Realistically though, once he's fully grown, he'll need his own territory. My current setup won't cut it. Same goes for eventually letting live animals into my actual dimensional space, which still isn't unlocked for that yet. Bottom line, buying that extra land needs to happen soon. 20 acres sounds like a lot, but housing this ever-growing zoo of rescued critters, plus whatever future strays inevitably show up, means I'll need way more space eventually. No point rushing though, funds are tight, time to hustle a bit harder to carve out my own little paradise. Right as I'm mentally planning the future empire, Zhuangshi calls me for dinner, pork twice cooked, chive eggs, stir-fried veggies, rice porridge, buns, the usual excellent spread. I settle in and eat with everyone. His mother, of course, is silently seething, internally trash-talking me as usual, some leftover woman that even the Yang family didn't want, now bossing everyone around like royalty in someone else's house. I catch her sour expression and calmly announce, from now on, send my meals to my room instead. Both men glance at her, immediately assuming she's caused this. She wisely stays silent this time, though inwardly furious that apparently even eating together at the same table is now a privilege she's lost. Meanwhile, over at the Yang household, family meeting minus Huang Wei. The grandfather asks about Yang Xiaohua's upcoming government appointment. Turns out it's just clerical case filing work, unglamorous, and unlikely to lead anywhere lucrative fast. The Huang family's holding him at arm's length, waiting to see his worth before investing further influence. The mother-in-law complains bitterly about the Huang family being cheap and unsupportive. Yang Xiahua warns her sharply. His father-in-law's vindictive despite his friendly exterior, and bad-mouthing him could invite serious consequences. She backs off that topic fast, but pivots straight back to obsessing over Zhuangshi's mother's new jewelry, demanding her son buy her something even nicer once he's got real income. He promises he will, personally taking her shopping someday. Satisfied, she turns her venom back toward the two kids, pressuring them to keep pestering me for money regardless of my rejections. I'm still their birth mother, after all, and she wants that silver squeezed out one way or another. Reluctantly, they agree. Late that night, the weather turns violent. Screaming wind, thunder, lightning, the whole village jolted awake in terror. Zhuangshi and his father scramble outside to secure everything: laundry, furniture, drying vegetables. I wake up too, finding Big Yellow and Little Leopard huddled protectively over their babies, trembling but resolute. I try to reassure them, step outside briefly into the storm, and Zhuangshi shouts for me to get back inside before the real rain hits. I ask about the roof's structural integrity. He assures me he's reinforced it annually, should hold unless it's an actual catastrophic storm. I manage a weak smile, privately reflecting that despite all my cultivation and dimensional space perks, I'm still just as vulnerable to nature as anyone else here. Humbling. The rain arrives in full force almost immediately, a proper deluge, visibility dropping to nothing. I retreat inside, light a candle, and read while waiting it out. Zhuangshi knocks, asking to come keep me company, explaining his father worried women get scared during storms like this. I point out his parents need him more, but he insists he can manage both. We settle in, reading quietly side by side. I hand him a book, assign him a goal, finish reading the records of the grand historian by year's end with a written reflection. He agrees eagerly. The owlets watch from atop the cabinet, fully feathered now, capable of short indoor flights, adding a lively energy to the room. The storm shows no sign of letting up. Half an hour later, Zhuangshi checks outside and yelps. Water's starting to flood in. I brace myself. Guess surviving a flood is next on this world's welcome tour. I quickly instruct him to relocate everything valuable to high shelves at his parents' place: clothes, bedding, food, especially grain. The ox should be fine on its own. Chickens need moving too. Everything else is expendable. He rushes off while I secure my own room, tucking bedding and clothes into my dimensional space, settling the animals safely into their box on the bed, promising them protection. They calm down instantly, trusting me completely, and drift off to sleep. My window paper, soaked through, tears open, letting rain pour in. I patch it temporarily with fabric, but water's already seeping into the room by the time I try stepping down. From the main house, his mother screaming for Zhuangshi in a panic, worried the mud walls will collapse. His father snaps at her. Didn't she claim earlier she didn't care about dying, wasn't afraid to be a burden anymore? She backpedals fast, admitting that was just anger talking. Of course, she wants to live. He tells her to stay put and trust him to handle it, moving bedding and supplies to safety himself, climbing onto the bed barefoot, anxiously watching the rising water outside. Can't see the main room, but I hear every word. Turns out old habits die hard. His mother's still complaining despite being useless in a crisis, dragging feet instead of helping. Just my luck, stuck with someone this exhausting during an actual disaster. While the house is empty, I pull out stashed lumber, boxes, and tools from my space and get to work building rafts. The room's about to become unlivable. Better prepared than drowning.
I
Lash logs together, break down spare crates to fill gaps, wrap the whole thing in oilcloth I'd stocked earlier, and secure it to the sturdy old tree in the yard as water climbs to knee height. I load the animals up first, then call Zhuangshi to bring his parents. Once everyone's aboard, soaked but safe, they change into dry clothes while I politely turn away. His mother peeks outside, worrying aloud about the whole county flooding, crops ruined. His father, done engaging with her, just quietly thanks me for saving them again. I tell him to actually remember it this time, unlike certain other people. I settle in with little iron, mentally inventorying my emergency medical supplies, basic fever and stomach remedies, not extensive, but this flood is honestly a solid opportunity for merit points if I play it right. Zhuang sure worries about food supplies. About half a month's worth of grain. Sweet potato crop probably ruined. I reassure him I've got money reserves. He sighs about bad timing right when things were finally going well. I offer some perspective, call it a test from the universe. Comfort makes people complacent anyway. He asks about the Sun family. I reassure him they'll survive. Worst case, they're just wet and miserable. Nothing life-threatening. The dogs and cats eye his mother with obvious distaste, and she returns the sentiment openly, though she knows better than to voice complaints about my animals after past consequences. An hour later, rain lightens, clouds drift north. Dawn breaks. Water's chest deep across the village, everyone scrambling to salvage belongings. Older, poorly maintained structures have started collapsing, crying echoing through the neighborhood. Our own walls half collapsed, house looking shaky. We wait for the current to calm before venturing out on the raft toward the Sun family. First stop, the village chief's house. Everyone panicking, stuck in the water afraid to climb onto their unstable roof. Seeing us arrive, the chief immediately catches on, instructs everyone to replicate our raft technique using rope and lumber, then rushes off to spread the method village-wide, genuinely quick on the uptake for once. We check on the Sun family next. Small household, easy to manage, build them 2 big rafts and a small one. I take the small raft myself, worried about Qin Yue and her grandmother alone in Little River Village. Zhuang sure wants to come, but I insist he stay and manage his own family. I've got combat skills and swimming ability. I'll be fine. His mother, once I'm out of earshot, immediately starts gossiping with Auntie's son again. Some habits truly never die. The journey's basically an ocean now, but with my cultivation, navigating's easy. I reach Little River Village quickly, just in time. The grandmother and granddaughter are barely holding it together, terrified, clinging to each other in the rising water. Qin Yue sobs the moment she sees me, devastated. Lost everything. I comfort her. Belongings can be replaced, people can't. Come stay with me. Her grandmother, meeting me properly for the first time despite owing me her life, immediately tries to bow in thanks, awkward given the water. Eventually just kneels right there on the raft, overwhelmed with gratitude. I bring them both back to the Zhuang household. House still flooded, raft still tied to the tree, but Zhuang sure's thrilled to see me back safe, combining the rafts for more space. Everyone's starving after the long day. Zhuang sure bravely wades into the kitchen for a portable stove and pot, grabs dry firewood from the highest shelf in the woodshed, and thoughtfully saves clean water. In a jar before the flood contaminates the rest, smart thinking under pressure. He gets the fire going on the raft, boils rice porridge, simplest option available. Meanwhile, the grandmother notices the household dynamics quickly, clocks my clear coldness toward Zhuang sure's mother versus warmth toward the father and son, filing that information away for future reference.